Chapter 573. Currently, the hundreds of thousands of people in the human race army did not even dare to breathe loudly. Who would have thought that the survival of the human race would be decided in an instant? This was an unprecedented gamble. Lu Chen's 10-hit combo smashed onto Grim Reaper's body, and at almost the same time, Grim Reaper's hand grabbed onto Lu Chen's neck. However, the difference between the two was that although Void Condensing Hand was overly powerful, there was a price to pay for it. Void Condensing Hand was just a super powerful control skill, but it did not cause any damage. However, Lu Chen's 10-hit combo was a real attack skill. Grim Reaper's hand just grabbed onto Lu Chen, and he instantly felt a sharp pain. Before he could react, his body turned into ashes in an instant. The entire battlefield was dead silent at this moment. Grim Reaper still had one arm left, and that hand was still grabbing onto Solipsistic. However, he only had one arm left. Obtained item, Whirlpool Key *2, Avarice Effect. This was the notification in the system. Others could not see it, and only Lu Chen could see it. Seeing this line of words, Lu Chen's heart, which had been hanging for a long time, finally fell to the ground. His guess was right. Killing Grim Reaper was the way to leave the whirlpool. However, this avarice was too strong. He actually obtained 2 whirlpool keys? What the hell was this? A moment later, the Dark Shadow race exploded. Grim Reaper only has one arm left. Impossible, Grim Reaper lost. How could this be? That kid didn't use Void Shattering. A fierce tiger descends the mountain instantly killed Grim Reaper? Just how terrifying is his attack power? The human race's side wasn't any better. Brother Nameless won. He won. This is too strong. Oh my god, I heard you guys talking about how strong our president is. I didn't believe it at first, but now, I really kneel to him. This is President's strength? He didn't even use Void Shattering and instantly killed Grim Reaper. The commander of the Dark Shadow Legion no longer cared about the danger. He stood up and shouted at Lu Chen, "Solipsistic, what's your last move?" Lu Chen pulled the severed arm off his neck and looked in front of him, but he didn't feel the joy of defeating a strong enemy. During this 1.5 years, Lu Chen had matured a lot. He had been invincible for too long, and this was the first time the Devil Sky Death God made him feel fear. Furthermore, how much difference was there between Devilsky's Death God and himself? He was also ridiculously strong. He had also obtained some kind of huge opportunity. Did he not want to break through the vortex and leave this place? In a sense, they were all the same. Tiger descends the mountain? That's the special effect of a level 15 Jiutian purple equipment. The Dark Shadow Clansman almost vomited blood. Level 15 purple equipment. It was only at the first heaven, and it was the lowest level equipment special effect. Who would have thought that the Grim Reaper would die under this move? Devilsky's Death God, thank you for giving me a chance to overcome the fear in my heart. Lu Chen took a deep breath and spoke indifferently. He then looked at the commander of the Dark Shadow race. Void Shattering isn't as powerful as the legends say. It's just that the attack power is considerable. Therefore, I am certain that as long as my attack power is sufficient, I will be able to kill Grim Reaper. I have 2 chances to use Shatter the Void, and it just so happens that Emotion has 2 domains. I will use both Shatter the Void. Firstly, his domain is too powerful, and if I can destroy his domain, my chances of winning will be higher. Secondly, after using both chances of Void Shattering, he will definitely lower his guard against me. His advantage back then was too great. Even if he doesn't want to be careless, he will definitely look down on me. Just this alone might not be enough for me to win. I was caught by his Void Condensing Hand once, and I am certain that the Void Condensing Hand doesn't cause any damage. Therefore, the moment he makes his move is also my only chance. Fortunately, I grabbed onto this opportunity. After speaking, Lu Chen looked at the Dark Shadow army again. The 10-second delay had ended, and Lu Chen was now in a perfect state. Devilsky's Death God, although I admire your strength and determination, but, since you have massacred Earth, I will not let any of these people off. Sorry, your race will die with you. Spiritual Energy Storm. First, he replenished his pure spiritual energy, then he healed himself again. Lightless sky flame pillar. Black coffin dead zone. Solipsistic was about to start a massacre. But at this moment, the Dark Shadow race members were shocked to find that their attributes were pitifully low. Everyone had many negative statuses. Some of them were the effects of eternal night and mixed elements of gods and demons, but these weren't the scariest. The scariest was the weakened state attribute, which reduced all their attributes by 90%. Damn, what is this state? Why am I in a weakened state? All attributes reduced by 90%? What kind of joke is this? How can we fight like this? My attack is only around 300 now. Under the effects of several negative statuses, these people might not even be able to break through Solipsistic's defense. But before they could react, a figure instantly charged into the crowd. The half-god half-demon Lu Chen had turned into a killing machine. After activating Lightless Sky Flame Pillar and Black Coffin Dead Zone, these Dark Shadow race soldiers whose attributes were greatly reduced died upon contact. In the distance, the hundreds of thousands of human soldiers saw this scene, and their blood boiled. He's too strong, killing an army of 1,000,000 by himself. Actually, it's not that strong. You guys don't know what our president did before, killing an army of 1,000,000 by himself? For him, this is considered little. Yes, I heard that our president liked to massacre cities when he was bored. It said that he blocked the entrance of a country's server when he was only around level 20 and made the players of that country apologize. I don't know what to say anymore. No wonder so many seniors are especially respectful when mentioning our president. No, let's go. I want revenge too. Leng Nuo shook her head and said coldly, "Please look at your current status before you speak." That person glanced at his status and was immediately scared pale. I was wondering why I felt like I had no strength at all. 2 weakened statuses? My attributes are only left with 1%. Leng Nuo sighed. This status is almost the same as an ordinary person's. Right now, we're just standing here to keep up appearances and make the Dark Shadow race feel even more despair. As for fighting, I estimate that a weakened Dark Shadow race soldier can take on 20 of us. Stardust frowned. Speaking of which, I suddenly remembered that a long time ago, many people were affected by the weakened status several times. It was also that time that we took over a main city. Now that I think about it, it was all our president's doing. What kind of strange power is this? It's too perverse. But Grim Reaper doesn't seem to be affected. Maybe his power level isn't lower than our president's. Our president has dual heaven's might. He's invincible within the same level. No matter what, after looking at their own attributes, no one brought up the topic of fighting anymore. It was good enough that they could stand here. If they still wanted to fight, they would definitely be courting death. The sky was already blood red. Dual heaven's might lasted for 30 minutes. However, in less than 30 minutes, the Dark Shadow race was completely defeated and fled in all directions. Run, that guy is the real Grim Reaper. My attributes? I can't beat him. I can't even break through his defense. That guy killed a bunch of people with a single slash. I can't block it at all. My spiritual attacks can't break through his defense either. My attributes have dropped too much. Quickly leave this world. If we stay here, our race will be annihilated by him. Chapter 574. The corpses of the Dark Shadow race had piled up like a mountain, and some of them had already escaped in the battleships. Lu Chen was covered in blood as he stood on the mountain of corpses. According to his personality, he would definitely kill the rest of the Dark Shadow race. That way, even if he left this place, they would not be able to invade Earth. However, his time was almost up. Lu Chen would also suffer double backlash after using both Heaven's Wrath at the same time. Looking at the fighter jets escaping frantically above his head, Lu Chen yelled angrily, "If you dare come here again, I will definitely raze your Dark Shadow race to the ground." The battleships could not speak, but judging from the speed of their escape, they should have heard him. Wild Waves did not organize the cleanup of the battlefield. Now, everyone was exhausted. The original 2 to 3 minutes journey took them more than 10 minutes to return to the headquarters. Everyone was in a pitiful state. It had been a long time since they felt such low attributes. Lu Chen was also exhausted. After returning to the room Leng Nuo arranged for him, he took a shower and fell asleep. The next day, everyone's situation still did not improve. Leng Nuo and the others would be in a weakened state for half a month. Lu Chen was slightly better. His weakened state had been shortened twice. Now, the effects of the heaven's wrath could be recovered in 4 days. Lu Chen opened his backpack and checked the vortex key. After using it, he could leave the vortex. What a joke! It's rare to see greed take effect, but this time it actually worked. Lu Chen looked at the 2 keys and was quite speechless. Although Lu Chen did not belong here, Leng Nuo, Feng Lingzi, and Qiu Ning were all living people. They seemed to be living in this world. Whether the vortex was real or not, Lu Chen did not want to tell them the truth. Let them continue to exist. He gave the remaining immortal spirit pills to Leng Nuo. These few days he ate and lived with his old friends. He would also teach them some techniques. 4 days later, Lu Chen's condition finally recovered. This also meant that he was going to leave this place. Perhaps he was going to leave forever. At night, Lu Chen personally cooked dinner for Leng Nuo and the others. Leaving was too cruel. Lu Chen lied and announced that he wanted to go out and explore the world. Master, are you leaving again? Qiu Ning pulled Lu Chen's arm reluctantly. Lu Chen smiled. I still have a lot of things to do. Feng Lingzi looked at Lu Chen sadly. We all knew that you were going to explore the wider world, but we didn't expect it to be so soon. Blockhead, are you leaving? Will you come back? Lu Chen couldn't bear it and sighed. He wanted to lie to them one more time, but the words didn't come out of his mouth. If he said that he would come back, perhaps they would wait for him. Since he wasn't coming back, then he shouldn't give them any more hope. Lu Chen couldn't bear to look at everyone's faces anymore. He lowered his head and said, No. The banquet suddenly fell silent. The women were already in tears. After a long silence, Xingchen suddenly raised his voice and said, Hey, don't be so sad. At least we're all still alive, right? We also know that the president is still very strong. No, he's even stronger than before. The human race lost the final battle. I believe that the president is leaving for us. Looking at all of you crying, Brother Nameless must feel terrible. Hearing Xingchen's words, everyone looked up. Yes, Brother Stardust is right. The greater the power, the greater the responsibility. Our guild leader has an even more important mission. We should give him our blessings, not here. As she spoke, Leng Nuo couldn't continue. Her voice trembled, and 2 streams of tears rolled down her cheeks. Sorry, I have something to do. I'll leave first. Seeing Leng Nuo leave crying, Lu Chen couldn't hide his heartache and chased after her. On the top floor of the headquarters, Leng Nuo sat alone on the building's guardrail. The night wind blew her long hair and her back made people feel even more heartache. Lu Chen called out to Leng Nuo, Nuo. Leng Nuo turned around and looked at Lu Chen. She hurriedly wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. President, why are you here? I'm just a little bored and came out to get some fresh air. Lu Chen sat beside Leng Nuo. Nuo, there are some things that I can't tell you. I know that you're not a heartless person. Since you said that you won't come back, you must have your reasons. This woman was really considerate. This made Lu Chen even more reluctant. Do you still remember that I used to be a guest star in your TV series? Lu Chen suddenly brought up the past. Leng Nuo smiled knowingly. That was probably the happiest time of her life. I remember. I could have been popular, but you stole the limelight. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. He knew that Leng Nuo didn't care about fame and was joking with him. I remember that I only had one line in that show. Do you still remember? I only remember the plot and forgot your line. Of course, Lu Chen remembered. Although he and Leng Nuo were talking about the same thing, in their memories, it was indeed something that happened in different eras. One was only 3 years ago. The other was 20 years ago. What was your line again? It seems to be. Lu Chen directly said, If I'm not the Devil Lord, will you love me? Whether you're a god or a devil, I will love you. Leng Nuo suddenly said. Lu Chen reacted for a while and was shocked. This woman was really scheming. It wasn't that she didn't remember her lines. She was just tricking him into saying his lines. Such a smart, beautiful and capable woman, there was no reason not to like her. In that instant, Lu Chen almost wanted to pull her into his arms. Was Jiu Tian really that important? Unfortunately, he wasn't her nameless brother, and she wasn't his Nua. Lu Chen thought for a long time. I'm not. Not the nameless, you know. But Lu Chen couldn't say the second half of the sentence. I have someone I like. Lu Chen changed the reason. Really? Lung Nua looked at Lu Chen, her eyes as bright as the stars. You're not the nameless brother I know, right? Lu Chen looked at Lung Nua in surprise. President, I heard what Death said before. He said something about a vortex. Are you afraid that if you tell me the truth, I'll doubt the authenticity of my world, or even my worldview will collapse? Seeing that Lu Chen didn't say anything, it seemed to be a tacit agreement. Lung Nua smiled. I know. Actually, you don't have to worry. Jiu Tian has already let us see too many unimaginable things. This kind of situation is no longer strange. No matter what our world looks like to you, we live here, and this is real. I know you want to leave the vortex and return to your world, but I still can't bear to part with you. Before Lung Nua could finish, a pair of warm hands hugged Lung Nua's shoulders. Lu Chen pulled Lung Nua into his arms and kissed her deeply. Chapter 575. That night, Lu Chen left Violent Wave's headquarters alone and flew in the sky. What he saw was ruins. The bustling city had been destroyed, and the pedestrians on the streets were nowhere to be seen. The cities were like dead cities. This was what Earth would look like 17 years later. His current self did not manage to escape from the vortex, and Earth had become what it was today. Thinking back, Lu Chen was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. He was not completely confident in his battle with Motian Grim Reaper. Perhaps his current self would have failed. Once he failed, the result would be like this. Lu Yi and Li Muhua would die tragically, the human race would be destroyed, and Earth would have a new master. The final battle. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Lu Chen was not one of the 10 elites that Xiaobei mentioned. It seemed that those 10 people would not be able to change fate. I've been here for 1.5 years, which means that I only have 15 years left. After landing in River City, Lu Chen returned to the place where he first appeared. Standing on the empty street, Lu Chen opened his backpack and took out a vortex key. In an instant, Lu Chen felt dizzy, and his vision turned black. In the barren land outside the Sunset Sect, Lu Chen looked at the sandstorm around him in a daze. Not far away was the camp left behind by the exploration team. After 1.5 years, the walls had been weathered and collapsed. I don't know if anyone survived. Although it was rumored that every Vortex's world was different, the elites in the past only talked about shatter the void. It seemed that this was the only skill in the Vortex, so Lu Chen did not enter the Vortex again. It seems that the Vortex is like a dungeon, but it's very difficult to get out. Once you get lost or die, your consciousness will be trapped in the Vortex forever. Jiu Tian is becoming more and more dangerous. Lu Chen was naturally most concerned about rhubarb. But in the whirlpool, Lu Chen knew that rhubarb would come out in about half a year, so he didn't have to hurry to find rhubarb. There are too many whirlpools here. I can't be sure which whirlpool rhubarb is in. Half a year later, if rhubarb still hasn't come out, I'll look for it again. After saying that, Lu Chen walked to the edge of the barren land. Speaking of which, ever since Lu Chen came out of the vortex, the void beast did not bother him again. Perhaps it knew that someone who could come out of the vortex must have mastered the ability to shatter the void. The Grim Reaper can be considered an anomaly among the void beasts. Other void beasts don't dare to provoke me now. Only he is not afraid of breaking through the void. Unfortunately, I want to change my fate, and he wants to change his too. Only one of us can survive. After returning to Jiutian, Lu Chen found a cave and went into it. The first thing he did was to go offline. When Lu Chen opened his eyes, he saw a girl crying and talking to herself outside the game cabin. "Oh, brother, why aren't you awake yet? It's been more than a year. What happened? Wake up." The people from Tianxing said that you can't leave the game cabin at this time. Otherwise, you'll definitely die. But what happened to you? Brother, where are you? I've been leveling up every day. I'll definitely save you. He hadn't eaten or drunk for more than a year, but his body was still in good condition. Under the influence of level 4, he had achieved synchronization with the Jiutian inside the real world. Lu Yi lay outside the game cabin and cried. Suddenly, the cabin door opened. She looked at the game cabin in shock and saw a familiar figure jump out of the game cabin and hug Lu Yi tightly. Seeing Lu Yi again, Lu Chen felt that it was great to be able to return to the real world. After experiencing the separation of life and death, Lu Chen would never let anything happen to his sister again. Brother, you're alive. Why are you more excited than me? I'm almost out of breath. Lu Chen let go of Lu. Lu Yi was alive and kicking in front of him. That was great. However, just as Lu Chen let go, Lu Yi pounced on him again. Brother, you're awake. You're finally awake. I thought you'd never wake up again. The past year and a half had not been easy for Lu Chen and Lu Yi. All right, your brother won't die so easily. Lu Chen smiled. Let's go. I'm not going online today. What do you want to eat? I'll bring you to eat. Brother, you didn't eat or drink for more than a year. You didn't even go to the toilet. Are you okay? I'm fine. In the fourth heaven, reality and Jiutian, the synchronization of the body is very high. Eating, drinking, and defecating in the game can synchronize the energy changes with the body. It's probably some kind of quantum entanglement. I don't understand it either. Lu Yi's eyes widened. Brother, you're already at the fourth heaven? How long have you been at the third heaven? The competition in the third heaven is too fierce. Coincidentally, something happened, so I passed through the Tong Tian Tower. Passed through? Brother, you're too much. We haven't reached the third heaven yet. You haven't reached the third heaven yet? Not yet. Many people don't have the ability to continue. The second heaven might be their limit. However, we also have some top teams. They are now trying to fight the third heaven boss. Lu Chen thought about it. This was normal. The second heaven could enter, but from the third heaven onwards, it wasn't just one person passing. Others could benefit from it. How many teams are in the Tong Tian Tower now? Currently, there are 4 teams with 160 people. The Earth Alliance wants them to reach the third heaven first, then come back and continue to bring more people to the third heaven. Lu Chen didn't know how the Earth Alliance arranged it. However, he had seen the Earth 17 years later. At that time, humans were actually quite strong. From their attributes, at least many people could reach the fourth heaven. Since that was the case, he didn't have to worry anymore. Lu Chen planned to spend some time with his sister today. For the current Lu Chen, money wasn't a problem at all. His account had 10 to 20 million entering it every day. Unfortunately, after he had money, he didn't have time to spend with his sister. That night, Lu Chen took the initiative to invite Li Muhua over for dinner. When Lu Chen saw this guy's confused face, he gave Li Muhua a bear hug. Damn, you're awake. Let me go, I have to report to my superiors. Hey, let go, why are you hugging me so tightly? My chest. No, what's wrong with you today? Why are you so enthusiastic? Did you take the wrong medicine? Lu Chen was also speechless. Unfortunately, he couldn't tell this idiot that 17 years later, he died tragically beside the villa. His death was quite miserable. Even when he died, he was still protecting Lu. At that time, the news of his death had already spread, but the military was still protecting Lu. From this point of view, they were all trustworthy people. Nothing come, drink. Foul drink. You've finally woken up. This is great news. But wait, don't tell me you want to get me drunk and then... Li Muhua looked at Lu Chen vigilantly. Do what to you? Brother, please have some awareness of your own charm. Even if I'm a comrade, I won't like you. Lu Chen shook his head. He suddenly realized that this guy was getting more and more despicable. Chapter 576. After a good night's sleep on his bed, Lu Chen went online again the next day. Originally, Lu Chen planned to go to the Extreme Immortal sect and tell Nantian about everyone getting sucked into the vortex. However, he changed his mind. Since he was already here, why not complete the mission? I think there will be more people coming to explore this area in the future. There are too many vortexes here. They will only be sending themselves to their deaths if they come. However, I don't need to worry about the vortexes now. The void beasts don't seem to dare to catch me. Even if I am caught in a vortex again, I still have the vortex key to ensure my safety. Thinking of this, Lu Chen entered the barren land again. According to the method that Elder Ling Xiao had taught him, Lu Chen began to measure every area. Wherever Lu Chen went, the vortexes and void beasts would hide far away. This allowed his work to progress at lightning speed. For months later, Lu Chen had almost explored the entire area. There were more than 300 vortexes of various sizes. If you counted the void beasts near the vortexes, then the danger level of this area was truly shocking. To others, the barren land was abnormally dangerous. However, to Lu Chen this was the safest place. There were still 2 months before rhubarb came out. Lu Chen cultivated pure spirit energy in the barren land while spending more time with his sister. 2 months later, Lu Chen was cultivating when he suddenly heard a few barks. He opened his eyes and hurriedly looked around. Not long after, a rhubarb dog ran in front of Lu Chen while wagging its tail. Rhubarb! Woof woof! Rhubarb came out. "Pa Rhubarb, you are too strong. I almost didn't come out, but you actually came out." Lu Chen hugged Rhubarb's neck and laughed heartily. "Right, Rhubarb, how did you come out?" "Woof woof." "What? You found a treasure chest with a whirlpool key inside?" "Fuck, that works too." Well, Rhubarb's world was not something Lu Chen could understand. In addition to the whirlpool key, Rhubarb also obtained a few treasures and gave them to Lu Chen. One of them was the immovable Vajra formation, a heaven-grade mountain-protecting formation. The second item was a pair of immortal-grade boots, void treading, a mid-grade heaven-grade movement skill. Fuck, even if you're strong, you're not as lucky as me. I was fighting so hard, and you came out just by looking for a treasure chest. Lu Chen had seen the formation before. 17 years later, the humans had relied on this immovable Vajra formation to resist the Dark Shadow race's army for a year and a half. Its defensive power was quite strong. This array formation came at the right time. In the future, my army can set up this mountain-protecting grand array outside. My army will be absolutely safe within the 4th layer of heaven. Rhubarb, you're really my lucky star. Lu Chen rubbed Rhubarb's neck hard. Rhubarb stuck out its tongue and wagged its tail proudly. Lu Chen looked at the immortal grade boots again. Void combat boots, immortal grade. 3rd dimension plus 15,000, spiritual energy plus 300, movement speed plus 35%, 9 void steps, mid-grade heaven-grade movement skill special effect step on the void and travel through the void. 9 times of displacement. Every displacement will create a void whirlpool at the same time, absorbing all the effects of the opponent's heaven-grade cultivation skills and below. Cultivation skills of the same level will cause the opponent's cultivation skills to deviate. Lu Chen almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Fuck, this movement skill is so strong. It can create a void whirlpool with just 1 step. If the opponent's skill was of a lower grade, it would be absorbed directly. If the opponent's skill was of the same grade, it would cause the opponent's skill to deviate. This identity was used to fight head-on, and it was quite powerful. Fuck, I really didn't expect this. I only got a void-shattering skill from this whirlpool trip, but Rhubarb easily got a mountain-guarding formation and a high-grade immortal-grade combat boots. Lu Chen thought about it and decided not to let Wuji Sword devour the combat boots. He would wear it himself. At this point, the exploration mission was finally completed. Lu Chen and Rhubarb had safely made it out of the whirlpool. Sigh, it's just that the others didn't make it out. The whirlpool should be a complete world. Looking for someone in an unfamiliar world is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Lu Chen could only feel sorry for them. After the exploration mission, Lu Chen went straight to the Sunset Sect. Before Lu Chen could go up the mountain, he was stopped by a few female disciples halfway up the mountain. "Stop right there, do you want to die? How dare you come to the Sunset Sect?" Lu Chen frowned. "That's right, it's been a year and a half since the incident. It's not their fault that they recognized me. Ladies, I'm participating in the exploration of the barren land in the northwest of the Sunset Mountain. Please inform the others." The few female disciples looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. Exploration? Kid, if you want to sneak in, you have to find a good reason. After the barren land in the northwest of the Sunset Mountain was wiped out, they stopped exploring it for the time being. Exploring the barren land? Let me ask you, even if what you said is true, why are you alone? Kid, if you don't want to die, get out of here now. Lu Chen explained patiently, a year and a half ago, the abbot of the Sunset Sect had a joint exploration. I followed the team at that time. As for why I came back alone, it's because the others were swept away by the whirlpool. Ha ha. A female disciple with big eyes laughed out loud. You mean, those elders didn't come out alive, but you, little guy, survived. Your skin is thicker than the city walls. If you want to make up a good reason, can't you come up with a better one? Lu Chen shook his head. He realized that it was difficult to explain to these low-level disciples. With their attitude, even if Lu Chen told them the truth that he came out from the whirlpool, they would probably laugh at him again. I won't make it difficult for you, but please inform the elders. What are you thinking? If we can't even tell that, I'm afraid we'll be scolded by the elders. The female disciple looked at Lu Chen with hostility. Lu Chen said impatiently, you don't want to inform the elders, and you don't want to let me in. Isn't that a bit too much? Just treat me as a visitor. You have to do your job and inform the elders. I'm sorry, but you're a visitor? You're about the same age as us. What right do you have to meet the elders of the Sunset Sect? I think you're just looking for an excuse to sneak into the Sunset Sect and do dirty things. If you don't leave, don't blame us for being impolite. Lu Chen sighed. It seemed that he could only force his way in. Before the female disciples could react, Lu Chen suddenly used the triple door and rushed into the Sunset Sect. However, before Lu Chen could rush in, he bumped into the mountain barrier array. Damn, I'm such a pig brain. They definitely have a mountain barrier array. The female disciples finally reacted. One of them shot a signal flare into the sky. Lu Chen frowned. Big sister, what did you just shoot? Are you afraid now? That's our sect's distress signal flare. You actually want to barge into our Sunset Sect. Didn't you want to enter our Sunset Sect? Then I'll let you have a taste of being beaten up by a group of people. Seeing that many mounts were flying towards him, Lu Chen was extremely depressed. Perhaps the entire Sunset Sect's disciples would be mobilized. He only came back to hand in the mission. Chapter 577. The Sunset Sect could be considered as a major sect. Its strength was similar to the Azure Cloud Mountain and the Celestial Sword Sect. Hundreds of people rushed out from the Sunset Sect. The Sunset Sect was indeed filled with female disciples. Lu Chen felt dizzy at first glance. Many of the female disciples were beautiful, and there were all kinds of them. The mature type, the lowly type, the fashionable type, the classic type, the gentle type, the bold type. For a moment, Lu Chen felt that his foolish act of breaking into the sect was worth it. Sigh, if it weren't for the fact that I was obsessed with Nantian, I would have joined this sect. What would it be like to have a girlfriend every day? Just thinking about it made him drool. How dare you break into the Sunset Sect? Today, I will end your lineage. No one knows who said this, but Lu Chen suddenly woke up from his beautiful dream. Breaking into other sects would only result in death. But breaking into the Sunset Sect would end his lineage. This was too fucking ruthless. Everyone, please listen to my explanation. No need to explain. Just now, the 3 senior sisters and I tried to persuade him to leave. Not only did he not listen, he even forced his way in. He has never seen the world. He doesn't know how powerful the defensive formation of the Sunset Sect is. No, I just came back to submit a mission. Cut the crap. The Sunset Sect doesn't give missions to male disciples. Sisters, Lu Chen was on the verge of breaking down. It was impossible to reason with women. Hundreds of people were rushing over. Should he hit them? Forget it. He would just teach them a lesson. Slender Dance, Falling Flower. Beast's Heart, Battle Pet Enhancement. Little Peach, go. Meteor Arrow, Rapid Scatter. A bunch of skills were unleashed in an instant. Lu Chen shook his head. 9 steps in the void. With one step, Lu Chen covered dozens of meters. He floated in the air, using the thin air as his foothold. As soon as he took that step, the air around Lu Chen began to spin rapidly, forming a vortex. For a moment, the wind blew. The trees around him were uprooted and sucked into the vortex. The skills of hundreds of people were all distorted and sucked into the vortex at the same time. Another step. This time, it was even more ferocious. Hundreds of Sunset Sect's disciples were unable to control themselves, and they were all forcefully sucked over. Although they were not sucked into the void, the powerful suction force made them unable to control themselves. Oh my God, what is that thing under that person's feet? I'm going to be sucked in. It's too scary. He ate all of our skills. He's going to eat us. Quickly inform Martial Uncle. Dragon blood boiling. Infinite web entanglement. By Yubiubiu. Lu Chen used his spider silk to trap all these women. Who would have thought that the 9 steps in the void would be so overbearing? These disciples were at least in the 4th celestial layer. Although their strength might be a bit weaker, they should be outer sect disciples of the Sunset Sect. However, the 9 steps in the void was able to forcefully pull them over. No wonder it was able to absorb skills. The suction force was too strong. Seeing that many people were struggling, Lu Chen walked in front of the woman with big eyes. In front of everyone, it swallowed her whole. When the group of women saw this scene, their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Lu Chen wiped his mouth and purposely burped. You're a bit fat. However, your meat is quite good. When the Sunset Sect disciples heard this, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. You ate Junior Sister? You really ate her? What kind of demon are you? You eat people. Junior Sister. You're a spider demon. Lu Chen said coldly, stop shouting. You're so noisy. Whoever shouts again, I'll eat you next. Don't struggle. Whoever breaks my spider web, I'll eat you bite by bite. The group of people immediately stopped talking. Finally, after dealing with these women, Lu Chen could finally have some peace. Looking at the silent women, Lu Chen shook his head. It seemed that his dream of finding a girlfriend in the Sunset Sect would be shattered. Just now, a few of the female disciples ran away. They should have gone to report to the sect leader and elders. All he had to do was to wait here for a while. At this moment, in the Sunset Sect's fallen immortal pavilion, 3 disciples ran in a panic. Sect leader, elders, there's someone at the foot of the mountain who's trying to break into the sect. He captured many senior and junior sisters and even did indecent things to them. What? The Sunset Sect leader slapped the armrest of the chair, breaking it. How could such a thing happen? Senior sisters, follow me to have a look. A few minutes later, more than 10 figures shot out from the inner mountain of the Sunset Sect. Before they could reach Lu Chen, a furious roar came from the sky. Who is it? How dare you break into my Sunset Sect and molest my disciples? Lu Chen was depressed. He admitted that he broke into the sect, but when did he molest the disciples of the Sunset Sect? Could it be that the person who went back to report had added fuel to the fire? In the blink of an eye, those people had already arrived in front of Lu Chen. Lu Chen glanced at them. The Sunset Sect leader was still as charming as ever. Fortunately, there was no change, or else it would be hard to explain. When sect leader Yu Hua and the elders saw Lu Chen, they frowned and tried their best to recall. On the other hand, when the female disciples saw the sect leader and the elders, they cried for help as if they had seen their saviors. The sect leader is here. Sect leader, he ate junior sister Lu Fang in front of us. Sect leader, please save us. Sect leader, kill this pervert. Speaking of Lu Chen's appearance, he was actually not very handsome. He was not like Dongfang Ji or Beishue Gufei, who were handsome and handsome. His appearance could only be considered above average. However, the most special thing about Lu Chen was his temperament. No matter who he was facing, he was neither servile nor overbearing. When he was serious, it was a little scary. Finally, Yu Hua remembered. After thinking about it, Yu Hua was even more surprised. She growled, "All of you shut up." The disciples were shocked. The sect leader was telling them to shut up? What was going on? Yu Hua looked at Lu Chen in surprise. You're that outer sect disciple of the immortal pinnacle sect? Lu Chen was very unhappy. Sect leader, you're so forgetful. You invited me to join your sunset sect. How could you forget in the blink of an eye? Yu Hua's eyes widened. It was not that she had a bad memory. She had only seen Lu Chen 3 times. For the next 1.5 years, everyone said that Solipsistic had been swept into the vortex with the exploration team. Naturally, she had erased this person from her mind. It's really you. Why are you back? I'm here to submit my mission. I can only return to the sect to exchange for sect contributions after I submit my mission. No, what I mean is, weren't you all wiped out? Lu Chen sighed. At that time, we were all swept into the vortex. The Void Beast's methods were too strong. I couldn't even take care of myself. I couldn't even protect a few of my companions from my sect. Those are Void Beasts. They have no weaknesses. Naturally, you couldn't protect them. Lu Chen shook his head. It's not that they have no weaknesses. It's just that their weakness isn't here. The one in the vortex is their true body. After killing it, the Void Beast no longer exists. You're saying, you came out of the vortex? As soon as this was said, everyone present was shocked beyond words. Only the legendary super powerhouses could come out of the vortex. And this person only took a mere 1.5 years to come out. I remember you're solipsistic. Lu Chen nodded. Quick, come in. Look, it's getting late. Our sunset sect is resting now. We're not in a hurry to go back. Aren't you lecherous? No, didn't you take a fancy to our disciples? How about this? Which disciple do you fancy? I can help you set them up. The group of captured disciples looked at their sect leader in disbelief. Didn't their sect leader come here for them? Why was she helping this male spider demon find a partner in the blink of an eye? Lu Chen's eyes widened. This sect leader was using this trick again. A honey trap. Chapter 578. Now, the problem was very clear. Sect leader Yu Hua also released the disciples who were guarding the mountain. Lu Chen also spat out junior sister Lu Feng in a friendly manner and untied the others. After knowing Lu Chen's identity, the Sunset Sect's disciples, who had been calling him a perverted ruffian, now looked at Lu Chen in a different light. This person is solipsistic? It is said that his strength can crush the direct disciples of the various sects. 1.5 years ago, he single-handedly fought 60 top experts from the 12 sections. At that time, I was in charge of taking care of the senior sisters, so I was also at the immortal apex sect. That scene is something you can't even imagine. Have you seen an outer sect disciple giving lessons to the strongest disciples of the various sects? Let me tell you, even the great senior brother of the immortal sword sect humbly asked him for guidance. Really? Isn't the great senior brother of the immortal sword sect a genius who only appears once every few decades? Is this guy really an outer sect disciple? He seems to be getting more and more handsome. He must be an outer sect disciple. Many people say that he is the strongest outer sect disciple in history. Those who had never heard of Lu Chen at this moment heard of Lu Chen's legendary experience. The way they looked at Lu Chen was a little different from before. Admiration, curiosity. Many people said that feelings sometimes originated from curiosity. When a girl had such curiosity about a guy, it was already very dangerous. Seeing that Yu Hua was still scolding the few disciples guarding the mountain, Lu Chen walked forward and said, "Sect leader Yu Hua, they are also doing their duty." Lu Chen actually pleaded for mercy for the Sunset Sect disciples. His score in the hearts of the crowd rose again. Sect leader Yu Hua wanted Lu Chen's opinion. Although Lu Chen also wanted to talk about life with these senior and junior sisters, Lu Chen immediately dispelled this thought when he recalled what he saw and heard in the whirlpool. There were still more than 15 years before Earth's fate was decided. It was not easy for him to escape from the whirlpool. He was not here to date. Sect leader Yu Hua, I have been out for too long this time. My fellow disciples must be worried about my safety. I have to go back and inform them. Xiao Kuang, do you really not want to stay in the Falling Flowers sect? Lu Chen shook his head. Then, okay, give me your personal map, I'll check it. Sect leader Yu Hua also released her personal map. Lu Chen's barren land map was different from the others. His entire barren land map had been explored. After comparison, the difference was quickly discovered. Sect Master Yu Hua looked at Lu Qin in shock and said, "You've explored the entire barren land?" "Yes, I happen to have some time, so I decided to explore together," Lu Qin asked. Sect Master Yu Hua, take a look at the map. "How many points did I get for this exploration?" "The total score for each area is 1,000 points. You have explored a total of 85 areas and obtained a total of 85,000 points. By the way, Sect Leader Yu Hua, how many sect contributions can one mission point be exchanged for?" "I don't know about that either. Here, one mission point can be exchanged for 30 mission points. I'm not sure about the exact rules of your Apex Immortal sect." According to the Falling Clouds sect's exchange rate, Lu Qin could exchange for 2.55 million points. Exploration missions were indeed lucrative. This huge amount of points was enough for him to use for quite some time. Lu Qin heaved a sigh of relief. This time, he did not enter the maelstrom for nothing. It was worth it. After handing in the mission, Lu Qin obtained 85,000 points. Then, Lu Qin hurriedly left the Falling Clouds sect. "Oh, by the way, Solipsistic, if you want to return to the sect, hurry up," Yu Hua reminded him before leaving. "But did something happen to the Apex Immortal sect?" Lu Qin asked curiously. "Nothing. Although you managed to protect the Apex Immortal sect last time, it's a fact that the Apex Immortal sect's disciples performed poorly in the Immortal Army. This time, the Immortal Army specially sent people to investigate whether the Apex Immortal sect was merged. I think they might need you." Lu Qin smiled. He did not stay, but this sect leader Yu Hua was still quite upright to tell him about this matter. "All right, thank you, sect leader Yu Hua." Lu Qin hastened his journey and returned to the Apex Immortal sect in 2 days. Before returning to the sect, Lu Qin saw from afar that there seemed to be a heavy guard outside the Apex Immortal sect. Lu Qin found it strange, but this time, he did not force his way in. He found the waiter from the inn he used to stay in and asked about it. "Big brother, you're from the Apex Immortal sect. Don't you know what's going on? The Immortal Army is here. They seem to be unhappy with the United Front Alliance's decision and want to remove the Apex Immortal sect." "Does the Immortal Army have the right to do that?" "Of course, the Immortal Army does. All sects serve the Immortal Army." The waiter sipped his wine and said, "Oh, right. But it seems that the Apex Immortal sect sent a few super experts and temporarily defeated the Immortal Army's examiner." "Super experts?" Lu Qin asked in surprise. "Yes, it said that they're very powerful. They've only been in the Apex Immortal sect for 2 months, but they've already swept the arena." The waiter became more and more excited. The Apex Immortal sect's people all said that these people are even more powerful than that crazy guy. The waiter was not a member of the Apex Immortal sect and did not know that Lu Qin was that crazy guy. Most of his information was also hearsay. Lu Qin had to filter out the information himself. That's not bad. It seems that the Apex Immortal sect has a chance of rising. Isn't that so? The Immortal Army was originally here to remove the Apex Immortal sect, but now, all 3 examiners have been defeated. Lu Qin nodded. He did not expect that the sect would send experts over while he was not around. This was a good thing. "Oh right, the Immortal Army is taking advantage of the situation to organize a competition between the various sections. It's said that the Immortal Army's experts are all coming. We've been busy with this for the past few days." Lu Qin had no interest in the competition. Since the Apex Immortal sect was no longer in trouble, he could just go back to being a carefree outer sect disciple. Lu Qin was a disciple of the Apex Immortal sect, so there was no problem for him to enter the Apex Immortal Mountain. However, when he returned to his residence, he found that the people who came in and out of the houses around him were all gone. He did not know where Brother Wrist and the others had gone. Did they become inner sect disciples? In the evening, many people returned to their residences. Only then did Lu Qin realize that something was wrong. The people who returned all had the words, "Immortal Army," in front of their IDs. They were all soldiers of the Immortal Army. To be able to enter the Immortal Army, their strength was naturally extraordinary. These people were all very arrogant. When they saw Lu Chen, they could not help but look at him with their nostrils. Lu Chen frowned slightly. It seemed that the residences here were temporarily given to the soldiers of the Immortal Army. However, his own house had not been touched. Perhaps it was Nan Tian's special order. The sect temporarily suspended the daily missions. Everyone was busy preparing for the competition in the inner mountains. Compared to the previous 12 sects, this time, it was said that there were hundreds of sects coming. It was a huge commotion. Moreover, there were also other races in the alliance. In short, this competition was definitely going to be a grand event. Lu Chen was not interested in any of this. He went to the exchange store alone. Damn, no one is coming here? Lu Chen shook his head. That's true. It's such a big competition. The entire sect is probably busy preparing for it. After exchanging his points for sect contributions and 30 immortal spirit pills, Lu Chen returned to his residence. The mixed divine demon cultivation technique, I can finally cultivate it. Chapter 579. How perverted was the divine demon mixed essence cultivation technique? Lu Chen had consumed 70 immortal spirit pills in total, but his spiritual power was only just qualified to start cultivating. What were immortal spirit pills? One had to know that even in the fourth heaven, there were only spirit condensing pills that added 100 spiritual power. There was no way to exchange for immortal spirit pills, not even the materials. Holding the divine demon mixed essence cultivation technique in his hand, Lu Chen was as excited as if he was holding the only 3 good student award in his life. He was suddenly moved. I'm so hardworking. Is there anyone as hardworking as me in this world? If I don't cultivate, who is qualified to cultivate? After a moment of narcissism, Lu Chen reluctantly learned the first stage of the divine demon mixed essence cultivation technique. Ding, you have learned the first stage of the divine demon mixed essence cultivation technique. Mixed essence spirit pill. Lu Chen immediately looked at the explanation of the cultivation technique. Your spirit pill has evolved into a mixed essence spirit pill. From now on, the pure spiritual energy extracted will all be converted into the more primitive mixed essence spirit chi. Description: the mixed essence spirit pill is the spiritual energy contained when the chaos was first created. It is the most primitive, pure, and complex. It is all-encompassing and contains hundreds of rivers. Effect 1. All attack types will be changed to chaos attacks, can be changed to other attack types through skills or special effects, or can be left unchanged. This attack type will not be suppressed or restrained by any effects. Effect 2. Increase chaos spiritual energy by 1 point every minute of cultivation. Effect 3. Skills and special effects based on the chaos spiritual pill will not be suppressed by any effects. Attacks will ignore 50% of the opponent's resistance. Defense against chaos attacks is the average of all elemental resistances. Special Effect 4. Divine Demon Bloodline Effect increased by 50%, detected that the current affected bloodline is the Kuei Cow bloodline. Attacks will have an additional 10.5% of the user's maximum health earth element attack. Effect: Exclusive Special Effect in the state of Divine Demon Symbiosis, an additional 4 points of chaos spiritual energy will be obtained every minute of cultivation. During battle, the user will obtain the domain Chaos Domain. Within the Chaos Domain, all occupations will lose their effectiveness. At the same time, the user will devour all domains and barriers of the opponent's same level and below, turning them into chaos spiritual energy and channeling it into the mixed essence spirit pill. Effect: Exclusive Special Effect. Unable to activate at the current cultivation technique level after activating Worship the Heavens and Heaven-Defying Demonic Might at the same time, attributes will increase by 100%, and the duration of weakness state will be reduced by 50%. No corresponding items have been detected for the other exclusive special effects, so they cannot be displayed. Lu Chen was a little confused. Damn, this seems to be a bit too strong. In the past, the elementary demonic beast mental cultivation method could increase 1 point of pure spirit energy per minute. According to the current requirement of pure spirit energy, it was estimated that he would not be able to increase his spiritual power in this lifetime. But the heaven-level mental cultivation method directly increased spiritual force. Adding 1 point per minute was already terrifying. Not only that, there was also a special exclusive effect that gave 4 extra points of pure spiritual energy, which added up to a total of 5 points per minute. That was equivalent to 1 spirit condensing pill every 20 minutes. 1 immortal spiritual pill for every 200 minutes. Because the celestial demon symbiosis was an exclusive special effect, and now that the celestial demon fusion mantra was an exclusive cultivation technique for the celestial demon symbiosis, it could be said that it was an exclusive special effect. With 2 exclusive special effects, the effect was naturally terrifying. Besides the astonishing increase in one's cultivation speed, the most terrifying aspect of the primordial chaos spirit pill was its other special effect. He would not be suppressed. Nowadays, there were more and more elemental attacks in the 4th celestial layer. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, lightning, wind, death, darkness, heaven's might, etc. In short, there were all kinds of elemental attacks. There was also a restraining relationship between the elemental attacks. There was also a restraining relationship between the levels of cultivation techniques. It was extremely complicated, and the Chaos Spirit Pill was quite unique. It could not restrain others, but others could not restrain it either. Since it was not suppressed by any special effects, then the barrier domain was also included. Other people's barrier domain could no longer affect him, but his barrier domain could affect others. Too powerful. This is completely an existence that jumped out of the Jutian settings. Lu Chen was extremely shocked. Chaos attacks are too difficult to defend against. The average elemental resistance is already very low. I don't think anyone can raise their elemental resistance to a very high level. If they have to ignore 50%, how much resistance can they have? Lu Chen did some calculations in his heart. It was like a person who pursued the extreme. If he raised his water elemental resistance to 100%, his fire elemental resistance would also be at 100%. However, his darkness resistance would only be at 10%, his death resistance would only be at 10%, and his other types of elemental resistance would only be at 50%. After the chaos attacks ignored half, his resistance to the chaos attacks would only be at 25%. But how many people could reach an average of 50% resistance to all elements? At least, Lu Chen had never seen such a powerful person. It would be very good for a tank to have an average of 20% to 30% resistance. After a 50% discount, it would only be around 10% resistance. Speaking of which, there is no mention of chaos resistance. That means there is no corresponding resistance to this kind of attack. Lu Chen was more shocked the more he thought about it. Finally, in the state of celestial demon symbiosis, he also obtained the chaos domain. Lu Chen did not know much about the celestial bodies of the professions. It seemed to be the ultimate move of the major professions. It could combine the physical body with the cultivation of the profession, and it also had elemental attributes. For example, the immortal slaughtering poison master's poison body and the demonic beast race's destined marshal's wind celestial body. In fact, it was a little difficult to deal with. But now, in the state of celestial demon symbiosis, all the celestial bodies were ineffective. The barrier domain could also become an endless stream of chaos spiritual energy. A simple sentence of, "devour those of the same level and those below," was enough to prove that this chaos domain was the strongest domain at the top of the food chain. It's really strong. Lu Chen sighed. As expected of the heavenly punishment tower, which is guarded by a loose immortal. It was not in vain that I risked my life several times to get the dual heavenly might of gods and demons, limitless sword of gods and demons, 6 transformations of gods and demons, and mixed elements of gods and demons. However, the mixed elements of gods and demons was only at the first level. It only had one exclusive special effect. Although the other special effect of dual heavenly might of gods and demons appeared, it did not take effect. It should be unlocked at the second level. This did not matter. If the time of weakness was not reset, Lu Chen would not use innate godly might unless it was absolutely necessary. However, the last line of words made Lu Chen fall into deep thought. No corresponding items detected. That is to say, there are other sets of gods and demons? Actually, these few god and demon items were gathered by Lu Chen unconsciously. If these god and demon items were considered sets, then the mixed elements of gods and demons was like the engine of the god and demon set. When Lu Chen learned the mixed elements of gods and demons, the exclusive special effects of the set were activated. There must be other god and demon sets. Lu Chen frowned. If he could not get them, it would be a waste to have so many powerful exclusive special effects but not be able to activate them. However, when he recalled these divine and demonic items, Lu Chen still dispelled his thoughts of making a move. None of the god and demon sets were easy to get. Chapter 580. Combined with the difficulty of obtaining god-demon equipment, Lu Chen finally thought it through. Forget it, this thing can only depend on luck. The 9 heavens are so big, and there are also small worlds in the great world. If I really go to look for it, I definitely won't be able to find it. The effects of the celestial demon symbiosis were too strong. Lu Chen thought that if he really cultivated in the celestial demon symbiosis state, he would attract the attention of the immortal army. In that case, he would cultivate in the normal state first. 1 point of spiritual energy per minute. After cultivating for a few minutes, Lu Chen saw that his spiritual energy was slowly increasing and felt gratified. I was wondering how someone could become a rogue immortal or even a venerable immortal if they wanted to cultivate with their original mental cultivation method. Now, it seems that mental cultivation methods are too important. In the inner mountains of the immortal apex sect, the disciples were so busy that they were dizzy. In order to host this large-scale competition, the entire immortal apex sect was so busy that they couldn't care about anything else. Have the guest rooms at the foot of the mountain been arranged? Nan Tian asked as he inspected the dormitory area. Sect Master, it has been arranged. All the guest rooms in Immortal Town have been booked. The original residents have been very cooperative and have temporarily moved out of town. What about the food? We have prepared a large amount of ingredients for our own dining hall. When the time comes, those who know how to cook will come to help. If there are more than 100,000 people, we won't be able to handle it. Nan Tian nodded. This time, the immortal army thinks highly of us. For us to be able to host this event, we must ensure that the logistics work is done well. Oh right, have the arenas been built? Of the 16 arenas, 14 have been built. The immortal army has provided us with a large amount of materials and funds, so we don't have to worry about it. All our disciples and the helpers we invited from the foot of the mountain are working hard. The last 2 arenas should be completed in about 2 days, the person in charge said. Good. Nan Tian nodded. Oh right, let our participating disciples rest well. Whether or not they can get a good ranking will depend on them. Don't worry, they don't have to do anything. They just have to challenge the dungeons every day and cultivate beside the spiritual source. We will ensure that they are in good condition. The person who spoke was Elder Ling Xiao. What Lu Chen didn't know was that not everyone was sucked into the whirlpool last time. Some people were lucky enough to escape, but only a few people. Seeing Elder Ling Xiao, Nan Tian suddenly stopped and let out a long sigh. Senior Brother Ling, if only he was still here, Elder Ling Xiao also sighed. That's right, even if the newcomer's strength is tyrannical, not losing to him in the past, no one can make this old master admire little friend Du Kuang. Back then in the barren land he still had a compassionate heart, saving as many as he could, but if Lu Chen were here he would definitely feel ashamed. In fact, Rhubarb had met other people when he was looking for a way out. He didn't intend to save them. Nan Tian lowered his head and said, without him, the extreme immortal sect would have ceased to exist a long time ago. How would we have the chance to become one of the top 20 sects? It had been a year and a half since the incident. Every time Nan Tian thought of solipsistic, his heart would still ache. My attitude back then was too weak. I should have held him back and not let him go. Sect Master, it's all in the past. The dead can't come back to life. We still have a lot of things to deal with. The elder behind him reminded. Nantian nodded. As the sect master, he had to take charge of the overall situation. Now wasn't the time to be sad. At this moment, a steward hurriedly ran over. Sect master, someone in the sect's exchange shop exchanged a large amount of sect contributions. Several elders frowned and looked at him. Zhu Xing, why don't you take a look at Changhe? What time is it now? The competition will start in 3 days. Everyone is so busy that they're dizzy. Who has time to care about the exchange shop? That's right. Who cares if he exchanged a few hundred or a few thousand sect contributions? Even if he exchanged 10,000 sect contributions, we still don't have time to care. Zhu Xing's face was anxious. This wasn't a matter of a few hundred or a few thousand sect contributions. That guy exchanged 5 million sect contributions. That was equivalent to 10 years of sect contributions from the entire extreme immortal sect. Zhu Xing, how about this? Close the exchange shop first. It's really infuriating. At this time, someone still has time to exchange sect contributions. I see that you're also free. Go and check the dormitory area. Check the temporary dormitories. The dormitories are still not enough. We can only draw out an area for them to set up temporary tents. Zhu Xing was rather depressed. He was here to report an important matter. Why was he assigned to work here? Sect master, but an elder pushed him. Don't grumble. Let me tell you, the competition will be going on for a few days. If there's any problem, you'll be held responsible. Zhu Xing panicked. The accommodation of more than 100,000 people was a big matter. Whether others exchanged sect contributions or not didn't have much to do with him. However, if there was a problem with the accommodation, that was his problem. Thinking of this, he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue back. He hurriedly brought people to check the dormitory area. Lu Chen thought of an idea. He could cultivate in the dungeon. Since he didn't have to do the daily missions or attend classes, he could just find a random dungeon and cultivate for an entire day. After quickly clearing the dungeon, he activated the divine demon symbiosis and began to cultivate his spiritual power. Little Furball and the others also had a place to play. They ran around in the large dungeon. A group of mythical beasts followed Little Furball and played together. Anyway, Lu Chen had seen this kind of scene many times. They were all masters of fighting, so he just let them fight. Sigh, I wonder how the third heaven is doing. Little Originator is still there. If the situation is stable, I'll go back and bring Little Originator back. Lu Chen didn't forget about Little Originator. It was there to carry out a mission, not abandoned. After cultivating in the dungeon for a day, Lu Chen received a message from the sect. The sect's disciples shouldn't enter the dungeon for the time being. All the dungeons were left for the guests to relax. As the host, the Celestial Peak sect still had to have the demeanor of a host. There were still 2 days before the competition began, but there were already a large number of sects and even sects from other races that came to the Celestial Peak sect. These disciples had nothing to do, so they could go and explore the dungeons and play in the Celestial Peak town. The Celestial Peak sect's disciples were all busy and didn't have time to explore the dungeons. Thus, they were left for the guests. Lu Chen was a little depressed. Now, there were people everywhere on the mountain. The outer mountain was surrounded by immortal soldiers and disciples of other sections. On the contrary, he, as the host, had become a lonely existence. What was worse was that even the exchange shop was closed. So boring. Lu Chen wanted to find Lu Yi to play, but Lu Yi was busy training in preparation for the third heaven of Tong Tian Tower. Lu Chen's second heaven boss was Master Spiritual Martial Apothecary. Unlike others, he couldn't guide them. Moreover, they also had experts to guide them. They didn't need Lu Chen's help. For a moment, Lu Chen was at a loss. Was he extra? Finally, the day of the competition began, but the ban on the Celestial Peak sect was still not lifted. Damn, are they forcing me to watch the competition? Lu Chen almost collapsed. Chapter 581. This was the first time Lu Chen had seen so many people from other races ever since he came to the fourth layer of heaven. There were nature elves, dark elves, beastmen, a race between humans and beasts. the giant deer race, the dwarf race, and so on. The people who came to participate in this competition walked towards the inner mountains. Lu Qin had become an outsider for no reason. He didn't belong to any race and was all alone. The 16 large arenas in the martial arts field were packed with people. At first glance, Lu Qin thought of a large stadium. Lu Qin couldn't squeeze into the disciples' area and could only find a random seat. Coincidentally, the people beside him were all nature elves. After everyone settled down, Nen Tian went on stage to give a speech. He encouraged the participants to show their strength and talked about the development of the Immortals' pinnacle sect. It was an opportunity to increase the sect's reputation. The next to go on stage was the Immortal Army's Northern Region commander, 4C's Expedition. 4C's Expedition was a human and the only human among the 4 heavenly generals. When 4C's Expedition went on stage, the audience's reaction was obviously much more intense. "It's great, General 4 heavenly generals. Damn, I heard his strength is unfathomable. I think he's fully equipped with immortal-grade equipment. He's also very strong and has 10 subordinates. He's definitely an overlord. Look, even the generals of the Immortal Army are looking at him with admiration. He's really strong." 4C's Expedition was about 40 years old. He was tall and sturdy and didn't look old at all. When he went on stage, he had a natural deterrent force. His voice was also deep and steady. This year's inter-race and inter-sect martial arts competition is full of talents and experts. I'm very pleased. You are all the hope of the Immortal Army. In the future, you will also enter the Immortal Army and become its mainstays. Seeing that everyone is so excited, I won't take up too much of your time. I just have one thing to say. The top 3 of this competition, other than the competition's rewards, will also be awarded the rank of Heavenly Captain. To be able to stand out from these geniuses, you have the qualifications to have a higher starting point than others. Suddenly, there was a burst of exclamations. No way, the Immortal Army is giving out extra rewards this time? Starting from the Heavenly Captain level? Once you enter, you will be able to command hundreds of people. That is a symbol of status. Don't talk about status symbols. The salary of a Heavenly Captain is 10 times that of an ordinary soldier. The resources provided by the Immortal Army are much better than those provided by the sect. It seemed like joining the Immortal Army had its benefits. Judging from their exaggerated expressions, it seemed like the salary they were talking about was even better than the resources they could get from the sect. It seems that everyone is eager to give it a try. Very good, this is the kind of morale that we, the human race, need. Now, let me announce the official start of the 514th United Competition. The audience applauded enthusiastically. The nature elf girl next to Lu Qin looked at Lu Qin strangely. Why were the people around them clapping and looking so excited, but the human face next to her yawned and looked like he didn't care? Lu Qin noticed that the elven beauty beside him was secretly looking at him, so he also clapped his hands. He only hoped that the competition would end quickly so that he could find a dungeon to cultivate and see if there were any good items to exchange. The competition officially began, and experts from various clans and sects stepped onto the stage one after another. Although everyone was a top-notch expert in their own sect, their strength was still uneven. Their performance in the early stages of the competition was particularly outstanding. Some battles ended in less than a minute, while others lasted for 10 to 20 minutes. Some of the seesaw battles lasted for half an hour. When the competition really began, Lu Qin also watched with great interest. Those competitions with great disparity in strength were not interesting. Lu Qin preferred to watch those seesaw battles. Whether it was an expert or an ordinary person, Lu Qin watched very seriously. Wow, another insta-kill. That must be the seeded contestant of this competition. Tushan Qingfeng is indeed the strongest genius of the fox demon race. No way, that dwarf in black used his firearm too well. He didn't give the opponent any time to react at all and the competition was already over. That's a rock troll puppet? Look, there's a rock troll in that puppet master's puppet. The opponent can't break through its defense at all. Together with the other mechanical puppets, the divine puppet has excellent attack and defense. It's simply invulnerable. The surrounding people liked to watch the competitions of experts the most. Only Lu Chen was watching a stalemate match through his personal broadcast window in front of him. The arena was too big. Everyone could use their personal broadcast window to watch every match. Of course, if they wanted to, they could also turn on the picture-in-picture function and watch several matches at the same time. The nature elf girl beside Lu Chen inadvertently saw Lu Chen's image. Why was this guy watching the two contestants? One was a shadow elf, and the other was a half-beast. Their strength could only be considered below average among the contestants, but that guy was watching with rapt attention. 10 minutes later, many matches had ended, but that guy was still watching the match. 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes. That guy was still watching without blinking. The nature elf girl asked curiously, "Hey, friend, what's different about this match? You've been watching for 40 minutes already." Lu Chen looked at the girl. Her ears were pointed, and she looked like a Westerner. However, she was more delicate and pretty. She was worthy of the word elf. The two of them are actually quite strong. Lu Chen smiled. In the match, both sides had more than 10 brilliant responses on the spot. Their reactions were quick, and they handled things reasonably. There are some things that I can learn from them. Most importantly, they were able to maintain such a high level of concentration after such a long match. I have to admire them for that. I'm really envious of such a back-and-forth battle, the elf girl frowned. This guy was so young, but why was he speaking like an old man? And, there are some things that I can learn from them? Envious of such a back-and-forth battle? He probably hadn't won before. Big brother, these people are obviously very strong. As for the strongest group of people in the sect, only they are qualified to participate. Lu Chen suddenly realized that he shouldn't have expressed his true thoughts. Well, I think this match is more interesting than instant kills. Che, are you sure you're not jealous of those super experts who can instantly kill their opponents? An older female nature elf couldn't take it anymore. Friend, are all humans like you, like to put on an act? Jealous? Lu Chen suddenly froze. Speaking of which, the number of people he had instantly killed could probably circle the earth a few times. The heaven domain boss of each level, the nine-winged nine-clawed dragon emperor, the devil sky grim reaper, no matter how badly Lu Chen was beaten at the beginning, as long as Lu Chen got close to them, they couldn't escape being instantly killed. Forget it, Lu Chen didn't want to explain anymore. He continued to watch other similar matches. Not long after, someone next door exclaimed, "Look, the experts of the Extreme Immortal sect have come out. I heard that they are quite strong." Lu Chen was also attracted over. The stage was right in front of them. A girl slowly walked up the stage. She was full of heroic spirit and had a serious expression. Seeing this person, Lu Chen's eyes widened. No way, why is she here? Chapter 582. It was Xingui Yanran. In 2 years, this woman had actually reached level 4 from level 2. Her progress was quite fast. Her opponent was also a human. One of them was a beast tamer, while the other was a sword tamer. Beast tamers were quite strong in one-on-one battles, not to mention that Xingui Yanran had an adult black flame dragon emperor with her. However, when he saw her opponent, Lu Chen frowned slightly. Her opponent was actually an immortal soldier. Why is an immortal soldier participating in the competition? Lu Chen asked in surprise. Aren't you an expert? You don't even know this? The female elf beside him snorted. Immortal soldiers always participate in the competition to prevent the competition from being too weak. If they can't defeat an immortal soldier, how can they be given the title of Heavenly Captain? That's right. The immortal army was recommended by the various sects, but they are only the stronger disciples. To win in the joint competition, their strength should be higher than the average immortal army. However, that immortal army seems to be at the heavenly soldier level. This doesn't seem to be common in the previous competitions. It's said that the immortal soldiers' requirements have become higher because of the upcoming war. Lu Chen roughly understood the reason and watched the competition. I wonder how Yanran's strength has improved in the past 2 years. That immortal soldier seems quite experienced and calm. There's a hint of hostility in his eyes, probably because he's killed a lot. Yenran needs to be careful. As soon as the competition started, Yenran summoned the Black Dragon of Promise, which was hundreds of meters long. Wow, there's an adult ultimate divine beast over there. It's the Black Flame Dragon Emperor. It's rare to see one. A beast tamer with an adult black dragon. It's too hard to fight. However, her opponent didn't panic. He raised his sword and two pitch-black swords were unsheathed behind him. Yenran used a spear. The national army seemed to prefer long-handled weapons, and Yenran had inherited this trait. Furthermore, the black dragon was a long-ranged weapon, so it was more reasonable for her to fight in close combat. The competition was about to start. Yenran immediately used her barrier skill. Army Spirit Barrier. It increased her own attack and defense, while reducing the opponent's attack, movement speed, and skill damage. The immortal soldier snorted. Army Spirit? A little girl like you who is still wet behind the ears, do you even know what the soul of a soldier is? Only those who have experienced countless battles of life and death can understand it. Azura Barrier. The immortal army used barriers at the same time. After the barriers of both sides overlapped, the effect of Yenran's barrier was reduced by 27%. It was obvious that it was inferior to the level of the opponent's barrier. You're not me. How do you know that I don't know? Yenran didn't lose out in the slightest. With 1,000 army break, she closed in on her opponent. Lu Chen smiled. Zhengue Yenran's temper was still the same. She was a girl and would never admit defeat. Her personality was very strong. Both sides immediately clashed. Yenran continued to advance, and the Imperial Sword continued to pull apart the distance between them. The Imperial Sword continued to attack Yenran. However, Yenran also had an ultimate divine beast battle pet. An adult black dragon was already very powerful. Unlike Lu Chen, Yenran had not raised so many divine beasts at once. She only had one battle pet. She usually cooperated with her battle pet and had experienced countless battles together. The Black Dragon and Yenran's cooperation was very good. Yenran attacked fiercely. The Black Dragon was forced to change its position. Soon, Yenran gained the upper hand. The Immortal Army's defense was bound to fail. While dodging, the Immortal Army's defense revealed a flaw. Yenran seized this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to close in. 100 Battle Spear, Black Scorch. The spear was covered in black flames as it was thrust toward the Immortal Army. The spear pierced toward the Immortal Army. At the same time, Lu Chen frowned. No, the Immortal Army is purposely showing a flaw. The girl has fallen into the trap. As expected, the Immortal Army suddenly disappeared. The two swords suddenly formed a cross and locked onto Yenran's spear, spinning quickly. Disarm! The two swords were spinning so fast that Yenran couldn't hold onto the spear. The spear slipped out of her hand. You can't even hold your weapon properly. You will only die on the battlefield. Shadow Folding Sword. The two black swords quickly threw out the spear. One after the other, the Immortal Army pierced toward the Immortal Army at an astonishing speed. Telepathy Connection. Gui Yenran shouted in a low voice, and her body instantly moved. This was a skill unique to beast tamers that could pull their masters to their battle pets. I knew you were going to escape. Catch the ringleader. The two swords merged in the air and formed a cross sword. With a space jump, the Immortal Army appeared under the Immortal Army's feet before the Immortal Army could stand firm. The Black Dragon roared and breathed out a heat wave, pushing the Immortal Army away. Ultimate mythical beasts were indeed ultimate mythical beasts. Apart from their insane attributes, their reactions were even faster than their masters. Battle pets? You used this to defeat the tester? It's far from enough. The Immortal Army shouted and turned into a sword shadow. Immortal Sword Celestial Form. Wow, the Immortal Army has mastered the Immortal Sword Celestial Form. The Immortal Sword Celestial Form has a high requirement for spiritual energy. The Immortal Sword Celestial Form is one of the more difficult forms to cultivate. A heavenly soldier has mastered the Immortal Sword Celestial Form. The Immortal Army is too powerful. The Immortal Army seemed to have calculated the Immortal Army's position. The Immortal Army turned into a sword aura and stabbed toward the Immortal Army. The Immortal Army widened her eyes. Don't underestimate me. Thousand Army break. Suddenly, a long spear fell from the sky and hit the Immortal Army below the Immortal Sword's celestial form, nailing him to the ground. Everyone who was watching the match was shocked by the Immortal Army's move. Could that little girl's move just now be the Imperial Sword technique? The Immortal Army's long spear had been disarmed. Without a doubt, she didn't have time to pick up the spear and could only control it. To control a weapon, apart from some special weapons, the sword control technique was the only way. The Immortal Army was heavily injured and controlled. At this point, the outcome was clear and the Immortal Army stopped. Thank you for letting me win. The Immortal Army pulled out the spear and saluted. The Immortal Army stood up and stared at the Immortal Army. Did you use a special weapon or the sword control technique to control the spear? Sword control technique. The Immortal Army would feel better if the Immortal Army knew that the Immortal Army had used a special weapon. However, she had used her own skills, which meant that this young woman was indeed more skilled. After a long time, the Immortal Army shook his head and sighed. Okay, you win. I admit defeat. The Immortal Army looked calm. She saluted, put away her black dragon, and left the stage. In the distance, Luchan smiled. When they were together, the Immortal Army didn't seem to be so arrogant. However, he had underestimated the Immortal Army. She was quite strong now. She came to be my junior sister? The elf girl next to him was amazed. Wow, that little sister is so strong. Not only does she have a black dragon, but she is also very strong. Luchan saw that the girl was quite cheerful and took the initiative to talk to the Immortal Army. He also said, "She is quite strong." The girl said, "Look at her. She is a real master. Please learn to keep a low profile in the future. If you don't have the right to go on stage, don't talk like you are a master." Fifth, I already said that she is strong. Is that not keeping a low profile? Not quite strong. She is much stronger than you. The girl corrected him. Besides, what you said is the truth. That is not keeping a low profile. Luchan looked at the elf girl in surprise. Not only were the skills of the Immortal Army troublesome, their personalities were also troublesome. However, if Zhenghua Yanran was here, then who were the other masters? Luchan found that this competition seems to be a bit interesting. Chapter 583. The Immortals' Peak sect had made ample preparations, and the 16 arenas went on in an orderly manner. Gui Yanran left after finishing her match, and the Immortals' Peak sect seemed to be competing in the same arena. The next match was also between the Immortals' Peak sect members. Luchan actually knew the next few people who went on stage. The second was Beishue Gufei, the third was Dongfang Ji, and the fourth was a beautiful woman. Luchan also had some impression of her. Zhenghua Mo Ran was a peak marshal at the third celestial layer back then. Although Lu Chen had never fought with her, he had heard that she was very strong and was a medicine master who cultivated both medicine and poison. Qingshan had once told Lu Chen that it was Moran who led the team to set the record in Autumnfall City. These guys have all come to the fourth heaven. Lu Chen thought again, right, it's been a year. Who knows how many people have come to the third heaven? These people all came to the Immortals' Peak sect, so it was possible that they had teamed up to come to the fourth heaven. Gui Yanran's black dragon had evolved into an adult, and her strength had skyrocketed. After reaching the third heaven, she would also become a very strong competitor. With the national army behind her, she didn't need to work hard to participate in the competition. It was reasonable for her to team up with the other three and come to the fourth heaven. Lu Chen shook his head and sighed. Although Jiutian was big, it was a pleasant surprise to meet familiar people. On the first day of the competition, the four of them were very strong, and they all passed the first round. After the competition, Lu Chen wanted to go find them, but after thinking about it, he thought that the competition required a calm state of mind. If he suddenly appeared, he might disturb them. It was better to watch the competition first. After the official competition, the Immortals' Peak sect was still very lively. At the border between the inner and outer mountains, the Immortals' Peak sect had set up a special market. Disciples from various races and sects could barter here. Of course, if they were really short on gold, they could sell it. The resources in each area were different, and many people brought local specialties to set up stalls here. The extremely bored Lu Chen, of course, would not miss such an opportunity. Rhubarb, let's go to the trading area after dinner. Can you help me see if there are any treasures? Of course, Rhubarb would be involved in such matters. After dinner, the trading area was already packed with people. Shouts could be heard everywhere, and many onlookers had gathered in front of the stalls. High-grade puppet materials. There's also a special puppet skill book and a rare puppet string. Come and take a look. I'm the puppet master's blessing. Fashion, fashion, fashion. With 4 sets of clothes out, you'll be the prettiest boy in the sect if you wear my clothes. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. 3 battle pet cubs and 7 marquee-level battle spirit contracts. They are only for trade and not for sale. Beast tamers, come and take a look. Selling all kinds of medicinal herbs and medicinal pills. 7-star alchemists can help refine medicinal pills in exchange for alchemist equipment and cultivation technique books. Dazzling gold equipment on sale, exchanging for medicinal herbs and ores. Immortal cloak, exchanging for other equipment of the same level. There was a dazzling array of items here. From raw materials to finished products, to equipment, battle pets, battle spirits, mounts, everything was available. Lu Chen squatted down in front of a stall selling immortal cloaks. Big brother, are you selling cloaks? The other party was a dwarf. He was short, but his body was stout and sturdy. Didn't you see the instructions on my stall? They are only for trade and not for sale. Lu Chen shook his head. He had done some instance dungeons in the sect before, but immortal tools weren't easy to obtain. He didn't have anything suitable on him to exchange for them. No, I don't have anything extra on me to exchange for. Lu Chen wanted to go to the sect's exchange store to exchange for some things, but that place wasn't open to the public. What Lu Chen wanted the most was naturally equipment. If he didn't have any equipment, he could use the limitless sword to swallow it. This place had nearly all the new equipment that came out from the 4th layer heavens. There were at least 100 different kinds of equipment. A dazzling gold item had several thousand attributes, but that was still around 300,000 to 400,000. For Lu Chen, 350,000 for each of the 3 dimensions was a considerable increase. Fuck, there's nothing to exchange. Do I have to farm for them one by one? Looking at so many equipment, Lu Chen was really jealous. He carefully rummaged through his backpack. There were still a lot of star-raising materials in it. These things couldn't be used by others. In a hurry, Lu Chen squatted down in a corner and opened the reputation store. The reputation store wasn't as powerful as Lu Chen imagined. Its main function was to provide star-raising materials, bloodline-related items, army construction needs, and some miscellaneous items. No equipment, no VIP, no top-up entry. What a kind heart. Lu Chen complained. Fortunately, the store had always been in sync with Lu Chen's star level. The level of materials kept increasing, and it could always guarantee the improvement of Lu Chen's star level and bloodline. There's a technique duplication scroll, but it can only duplicate low-level techniques. It's useless. After thinking about it, Lu Chen closed the reputation store. There was still a key in his backpack, the whirlpool key. Forget it, I'm not selling this. If I fall into the whirlpool one day, I can come out directly. What else can I use to earn money? At this moment, Lu Chen looked up. Not far away, the pharmacist's stall that was helping to refine pills was crowded with people. Boss, do you know how to refine beast heart pills? What's the success rate? What's the quality? Yes, the success rate is 48%. I'll give you 50%. The lowest quality is guaranteed to be a 1-star pill. You have to pay 50% of the materials as handling fee. Boss, help me refine 3 spirit condensing pills. Sure, it's still the same price as before. 50% handling fee. The lowest quality is guaranteed to be a 2-star pill. You have to pay 10% more materials. However, a 2-star pill can increase spiritual energy by 120 points. Then I definitely want a 2-star pill. Okay, the pills will be ready in 3 minutes. Boss, what's the price of a water-dissolving pill? A water-dissolving pill. It adds water resistance, right? I can refine it. 60% handling fee, but it can only guarantee a successful pill. The shop owner's business was booming. There was nothing in front of his stall. Instead, all kinds of materials were piled up, looking for someone to refine pills. After paying the full amount of materials for the pharmacist, it was still much cheaper than buying pills directly. Furthermore, pills were consumables. His business was booming. Lu Chen observed a few more pharmacist stalls. Pharmacists, refiners, and other processing industries were doing very well. Getting something for nothing, and I can also increase my pharmacist level. This is good. Little Green, how do you compare to that pharmacist just now? Boss, he's only a 7-star pharmacist. I'm an 8-star pharmacist. Also, the quality of my pills is better than his. Then why are the spirit condensing pills that you refined for me all starless? You didn't say you wanted good ones. You gave me so many materials and asked me to refine the required pills. I can only refine pills without stars. There's such a saying when refining pills. Then let's go and set up a stall. It wasn't easy to wait for a big boss to sell everything in his stall. He packed up his things and left. Lu Chen took over the stall with a triple door. Luckily I acted fast. Lu Chen said proudly, Little Green, you can set up a stall here. Okay, boss. Lu Yi rolled up her sleeves. It was obvious that she was going to do something big. Before Lu Chen could open his mouth, Lu Yi shouted at the top of her lungs, Everyone come and take a look. I'll help you refine an 8th grade pill. As soon as she finished speaking, the group of people in front of her stopped in their tracks. Little girl, you said you can refine an 8th grade pill? Are you serious? Our shop operates with integrity, and we don't cheat anyone. Little Green smiled politely. Chapter 584. Little girl, in order to refine a grade 8 pill, you need to be an 8-star alchemist. Do you know how many pills an alchemist needs to refine in order to increase their proficiency? I have never even seen an 8-star alchemist before. That is enough to refine immortal pills. A 7-star alchemist can be trained using resources, but an 8-star alchemist needs talent. Lu Chen is stunned as he listens by the side. He knows a little about blacksmithing, but he is only a 6-star alchemist. He knows nothing about alchemy. Listening to what others are saying, Little Green is already so powerful? He brought along an 8-star alchemist that even his family couldn't nurture? Louis smiles. Who asked me to have a good master, a good boss? Anyway, you don't have to worry. Since I dare to say this here, I naturally won't lie to you. If you give me enough materials, I will collect the fees. Louis looks at Lu Chen. Boss, are we collecting materials or something else? Lu Chen is stunned for a moment. The materials are also fine. Equipment is also fine. Anything of the same value is fine. Lu Yi nods. Oh, I understand, boss. That is, you must give me enough materials and ensure that I have enough materials within the range of success. After I succeed, I will deduct the extra materials I consume and convert them into other items as fees. To the customers, this is not a problem. An elder repeatedly looks at Lu. While he is hesitating, someone beside him speaks up. Can you refine dark resistance pill? Dark resistance pill is one of the rarer types of resistance. Dark resistance pill can only be refined by an 8-star alchemist. Lu Yi says without hesitation. As long as it is not an immortal pill, she will automatically obtain the refining blueprints of other pills. Naturally, she can refine them. Don't waste my materials. These materials were collected by me with great difficulty. Lu Yi smiles. Since you are looking for me, you have to believe me. I don't think anyone is so stupid to lie in front of so many people. What he said made sense. Otherwise, that person wouldn't have even asked. Then, I heard that the success rate of making a normal dark resistance pill is 40%, but I only have 3 sets of materials. If you can guarantee that you can make one for me, it doesn't matter if you have a star rating or not. After you succeed, I can give you an extra reward as compensation. Lu Yi decisively said, normally, it is indeed 40%. However, with me, the success rate of all the pills increased. Lu Yi looked at Lu Chen, indicating for him to continue. Lu Chen knew that Lu Yi's success rate in alchemy was 30% higher than other people's. Other people's success rate was 40%, while hers was 52%. If they wanted their business to be good, they had to have an advantage over others. Lu Chen thought about it and said, our success rate is 10% higher than normal. Let's be clear. The so-called 10% higher is based on the original success rate. For example, other people's success rate is 50%, but ours is 55%. It is reasonable to say that 3 portions of materials can be refined, but there is also a risk. This risk is not something that any alchemist would take on themselves, and we are the same. You can first take a look at other people's refining situation. If you feel that you can take a gamble, then you can just entrust us to refine it normally. That person thought about it and said, of course I know this principle. No one can say for sure about luck. However, if you say that your success rate is 10% higher than normal, I can't just believe it. Let's take a look at other people's refining situation first. It seemed that the materials for the dark resistance pill were not so easy to obtain. That was why that person was so cautious. Not long after, someone wanted to refine the fierce flame pill. It added fire elemental damage and required a 7-star alchemist. The fierce flame pill, which originally had a 56% success rate, was refined in one go by Little Green with a 73.8% success rate. This is the fierce flame pill that you wanted. I used some extra materials. It is a 3-star pill. Since you are the first customer, consider it a benefit. I will not charge you extra materials. What? A 3-star pill? That person's eyes were filled with shock as he held the red pill in his hand. It added 50% of the attributes, and it is not included in the pill resistance. Haha, I have profited. Thank you, little girl. I will give you some extra materials. No need. This is a benefit. We have taken 34% of the materials. It is enough. Haha, thank you so much. Then, help me refine a few more pills. Little girl, what is the highest star pill that you can refine? At least 3-star. You also know that from 4-star onwards, there is no need for extra materials. It depends on luck. Oh, right. It is still a 3-star pill. This time, you can charge me according to the usual 3-star pill. And alright, please give me an extra 17% for each set of materials. No problem. I will refine. Let me count the materials. I will refine 5 pills. The first customer placed an order for 5 more pills in one go. 5 minutes later, 5 fierce flame pills were produced. 4 were 3-star and 1 was 5-star. Oh ho. 5-star pill. Ha! I have profited greatly. Not only does it not count in the pill resistance, it also increases the number of times you can use the same pill. Ha! Lu Chen looked coldly at that guy who was dancing with joy. Was there a need to be so happy? Did he not care about his image anymore? A 5-star medicinal pill appeared, and the surrounding people went crazy. It can't be, right? I saw that the little girl only put in 6 sets of materials and it actually became 5 pills? Did it really only increase the success rate by 10%? Moreover, the lowest grade of the 5 pills was 3-star. She even produced a 5-star pill. This is too amazing. I have never seen such a high production rate and such high-quality pills. Fuck, I am so regretful. The intensified water pill I refined earlier was even higher than this, but the quality was not as good as hers. Boss, I want to refine too. High-tier strength pill. High-tier strength pill. My success rate is 62%. I will charge you 38% of the materials in one go. There is no extra charge if you refine it more than once. I guarantee a 3-star pill. No problem. I will give you 10 sets of 3-star materials. Please help me refine a 5-star pill. I can't guarantee a 5-star pill. No, I just want to try. Hee, I don't have to make any requests. I know the rules. A few minutes later, another 6 sets of materials produced 5 intensified water pills. 3 of them were 3-star and 2 were 4-star. Ah, good. 2 4-star pills are already a bonus. Thank you, little girl. A net profit of 4 sets of materials for the intensified water pill. After the 2 successful cases, the people who were still watching couldn't wait any longer. They swarmed around Lu Chen's stall. I want to refine pills. It's my turn. It's my turn. I have been waiting in line. Don't squeeze in the back. Are you guys trying to break up other people's stalls? I asked just now. Don't push. I'm next. Lu Chen found that the person who wanted to refine the dark resistance pill was also squeezing in the crowd. It seemed that there was no doubt about it anymore. Lu Chen waved his hand. Everyone, don't push. There are only a few people here. If you line up, you will all have a chance. If you don't line up, please go elsewhere. An old man realized that the older the ginger, the spicier it was. When the order was stabilized, he was actually the first to line up. Old man, what kind of pill do you want to refine? Lu Yi asked. Little girl, do you know how to refine the immortal pill? The noisy crowd suddenly quieted down. Immortal pill? Did I hear wrongly? The materials for the immortal pill are extremely rare. The success rate is only 25%. That's not the point. The point is that all immortal pills require a recipe. Who has the recipe for the immortal pill? Little Green smiled politely. The crowd's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. What? She really knows how to refine the immortal pill? Chapter 585. There was an alchemist at a stall that helped a customer refine immortal pills. The entire trading market was in an uproar. The stall owners did not set up their stalls as people rushed towards that stall. Boss, you should go and rest for a while. I can handle it by myself. Lu Chen was pulled to the side by Louis. There are so many people refining pills. Are you sure you can handle it by yourself? Louis laughed. I used to participate in this kind of opportunity with my grandfather. In the first heaven, our divine herbalist Valley's pills are the most popular. I've long been able to handle this kind of situation. As long as they line up properly, I can refine them one by one no matter how many people there are. It won't be too late. Also, you don't seem to be very good at math. You always make mistakes and sometimes mess up my thoughts. Lu Yi finally said the truth. Okay then I'll leave this place to you. I'll go buy some equipment. Call me if you need anything. Okay. Lu Chen shook his head and left the stall with a sad face. Am I bad at math? In the past, all the numbers were calculated by my mouth. Now, Lu Chen had a large pile of medicinal ingredients and many pills. Little Green had refined the excess medicinal ingredients together. Lu Chen could use these to exchange for some equipment. Whatever dazzling gold equipment or even dark gold equipment, as long as he had never seen it before, he would go and talk to them. Pills were considered the hottest commodities, so he did not have to worry about not being able to exchange for anything. Every time he exchanged for equipment, Lu Chen would let Limitless Sword devour it. If he ran out of pills, he would go back and get more. Rhubarb, I suddenly feel like I'm running a bank at home. Lu Chen brought rhubarb around the trading area. After 1 or 2 hours, he had already exchanged 7 or 8 pieces of equipment. Although he didn't need to worry about the pills, Little Green needed time to make money. Plus, she was too busy and didn't have time to help Lu Chen refine pills, so today's efficiency wasn't the highest. When he went back in the evening, Little Green would refine all the materials he had earned so that he could exchange for more tomorrow. It was getting late, and it was time for the trading area to rest. Lu Chen returned to his stall, packed his things, and brought Little Green and rhubarb back to his residence. Wow, so many medicinal ingredients. Little Green, we've struck it rich this time. These medicinal ingredients can be refined into medicinal pills. I can use them myself, exchange them for items, and even give them to Little Furball to eat. Louis said, Boss, I'm still a bit slow in refining. I only managed to refine 400 pills tonight, otherwise we could have earned even more. Lu Chen smiled. Little Green, you don't have to be so strict with yourself. You're already very good. There's still a few days left, so there's no rush. Yeah, boss, I'll refine all the medicinal ingredients I earned into pills tomorrow. That way, you won't have to come back to get pills every time you change your equipment. Don't tire yourself out. Rest well tonight. I'm not in a hurry. Now it seemed that Master Spiritual Martial Apothecary didn't drop any equipment and only gave it to Louis. It was simply too worth it. The equipment that Master Spiritual Martial Apothecary dropped was only for temporary use, but Little Green could accompany Lu Chen forever. The next day, Lu Chen went to watch the competition as usual. Aside from some exciting matches, Lu Chen was most concerned about Jinggui Yen Ran and the others. The opponents on the second day were obviously stronger than the first, and the difficulty of advancing was greatly increased. However, the 4 from the Immortal Apex sect also entered the top 128. That night, Lu Chen turned into a shopping maniac, sweeping up all the equipment from the big stalls and obtaining another 20 pieces of gold-grade equipment. On the fourth day, the competition for a spot in the top 32 began. At this point, the competition was reaching its climax, and the experts were beginning to show their true strength. Dongfang Ji, Mo Ran, and Jinggui Yen Ran couldn't defeat their strong opponents and were stopped in the top 64. Gu Fei, on the other hand, was still quite strong. His opponents weren't too strong, and he was also quite strong, so he entered the top 32 with a large advantage. This was the first time that a disciple from the Immortal Apex sect entered the top 32. Gu Fei is still strong. I feel like he's even stronger than when I first met him. In the past year and a half, Gu Fei's improvement was amazing. On the same day, Lu Chen received a message from the Immortal Apex sect, enthusiastically celebrating Beishue Gu Fei's impressive results. At the same time, they also praised Yen Ran and the others for entering the top 64. Every disciple of the Immortal Apex sect also received 10 sect contributions as a reward. This was definitely a rare benefit from the Immortal Apex sect. At night, Lu Chen's business finally slowed down. The main reason was that not everyone had so many medicinal ingredients in reserve, and they also needed to exchange for other items. However, Lu Chen already had more than 1,000 pills of various types in his bag, and he once again felt like a tycoon. Lu Chen had almost finished exchanging for the more common equipment. No matter how good the equipment was, he couldn't afford it. For example, some rare dazzling gold and even immortal tools. Those things would only be sold if they were exchanged for equipment of the same level. If he really couldn't afford it, then he wouldn't. At worst, he would just go and fight for them himself in the future. On the fifth day, the competition for the top 32 began. The main event was finally here. These people were the strongest 32 people from various races and sections. To put it bluntly, these people would quickly become the main force of the Immortal Army in the future. There were 16 arenas, and one arena was just enough for one match. Beishue Gu Fei was still in the old arena, and his opponent was a half-beastman expert. The surrounding nature fairies were all discussing the two people in the arena. That human is quite strong, but I don't think he can last more than 30 seconds in front of the primitive Buddha beast. The primitive Buddha beast is really strong. This year's champion is practically guaranteed. Our Sexy Wang was instantly killed by him. His strength is too terrifying. That's not necessarily the case. The Dark Knight and the dwarves also have super experts. It's too early to determine the champion, but that human is definitely going to lose. Among the humans, only Unique Step has the qualifications to enter the top 8 or even the top 4. The others are still too weak. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Was that primitive Buddha beast really that strong? On the arena, the half-beastman was 2.5 meters tall. He had a muscular body, and he held a giant axe and shield. Around his neck hung a large string of Buddhist beads. That was his famous immortal tool, War Buddha Saraira. There were a total of 108 beads, and they glowed with a faint golden light. This guy was a monk, and he cultivated both Buddhist light monk and Buddhist seal. His attack and defense were both excellent. Although his sword attack was strong, against the primitive Buddha beast who had super high defense and was good at mid-range attacks, he didn't have the slightest advantage. The longevity Buddha looked down at Gufei. You think you're worthy of entering the top 32? This is really an insult to the competition. Beishue Gufei frowned and didn't say anything. Kid, do you know? The most suitable position for the humans is the Immortal Army's logistics. You guys will only drag us down on the battlefield. Gufei snorted. If you're so confident, then why did you still ally with the humans? 4C's expedition is also a human. Why don't you go and say these words to him? 4C's expedition is also the weakest of the 4 heavenly generals. His personal strength is not even comparable to many mid-heavenly generals and junior heavenly generals. The reason why he could become a great heavenly general is that he is old and experienced and can lead troops to fight. If it was anyone else, after staying in the Immortal Army for so many years, their experience wouldn't lose to him. Gufei's eyes already had a trace of anger. This guy actually dared to disrespect the great heavenly general of the human race. Human trash, there's one more thing you don't know. Didn't you praise 4C's expedition? Do you know why he hasn't gone to the 5th layer of heaven at such an old age? Gufei narrowed his eyes. Because you humans don't have anyone who can take over his position. As expected, trash is trash. After 32 years in the Immortal Army, he only relied on his qualifications and experience. Maybe it was to stabilize the alliance, that's why he was chosen as a great heavenly general. You actually used that as a reason to be proud? In 32 years, how many people have the other great heavenly generals changed? And you humans, until now, there are only 5 people who can replace 4C's expedition. You think this is something you can be proud of? Haha, you humans really don't have any shame. Chapter 586. How dare you insult my human race? Don't blame me for being heavy-handed later. Beishue Gufei's eyes were already burning with rage. But the primitive Buddha beast didn't care. Ah, kid, you talk big. Unfortunately, you don't deserve it. I like the smell of gunpowder. That way, the fight will be more exciting. What do you mean by not overdoing it? That's not interesting at all. The Immortal Army doesn't want monkeys who only know how to talk big. On the stage, Lu Chen was so angry that his teeth were itching. He shouted loudly, "Gufei, beat up that gorilla. Beat him up. Break his mouth and knock out his teeth." Lu Chen was surrounded by elites of nature. He was the only one cheering for Gufei, and he was so excited. Instantly, he attracted a lot of rolling eyes. How did a human get in here? He's been sitting there for a few days. I don't know how the extreme immortal sect arranged for a disciple to be here. He's crazy. The primitive Buddha beast is so strong. That means he has the right to be arrogant. He's probably just a simpleton. Lu Chen's fire was splashed with cold water by the people around him. Lu Chen was also depressed. Who asked him to not be able to squeeze into the human race's side? In a group of foreign races, he was indeed the odd one out. After shouting for a while, no one responded. Lu Chen could only quiet down. The match was about to start. The moment the match started, the primitive Buddha beast put his palms together. Suddenly, a golden light burst out from his body. With a boom, the entire stage was illuminated by the golden light. Buddhist scripture barrier. The sound of monks chanting in unison could be faintly heard. It was sacred and solemn. Lu Chen hurriedly checked Gufei's status. Listen attentively, forcefully pulled in front of the opponent every 5 seconds. Unable to use displacement skills for 2 seconds. Demonic mind confusion. Offensive skills have a 30% chance of being ineffective when used. Lu Chen's eyes widened. This barrier was too unreasonable. This was the first time Lu Chen heard of a displacement skill being forcefully used. And the destination of the displacement was actually in front of the opponent. The weakness of sword manipulation was that it was afraid of getting close to the enemy. If the enemy was dragged right in front of him, how could Gufei control his sword? Demonic assault was also very strong. There was a 30% chance that the skill would fail. In other words, even though Lonely Fly had spent a lot of effort to pull away, there was still a 30% chance that he would fail even after charging up for half a day. Damn, no wonder they say the primitive Buddha beast is strong. It is indeed strong. He has high HP and DF, and he's good at close combat. Who would be able to take it if he pulled someone over to let him beat them up? Not good, the suppression is too strong. I'm afraid Gu Fei won't be able to break it. When Gu Fei activated the Sword Dao barrier, it only had the effect of increasing attack speed. It was completely unable to deal with the two abnormal abilities of the Buddhas who were chanting sutras. The two barriers stacked on top of each other, weakening each other by 40%. Lu Chen frowned slightly. The quality of the Sword Dao barrier is not inferior to the chanting of the Buddhas. After the effects have weakened, solitary flight will be pulled over once every 7 seconds. The failure rate of the technique has become 18%, but it's still too difficult. The moment the two great enchantments collided, Beishue Gu Fei had already moved. Sword Saint Sword Art, sword will rampage. The Beast Buddha narrowed his eyes. You actually know sword intent. Interesting. Kid, I won't give you the chance to show off. What I want is to defeat you within 10 seconds. The Beast Buddha let out a low roar and took off the Saraira prayer beads on his neck. Saraira prayer beads third style. Put down the butcher's knife. With a boom, the golden light exploded and covered the entire arena. Beishue Gu Fei suddenly realized that his 7-star sword was being pressed down to the ground by a powerful force. The 7-star sword was all stabbed into the ground. This rise for me. The 7 swords trembled violently as if there were two forces wrestling with each other. The Beast Buddha smiled. You didn't expect that your sword would be disarmed by me, right? I already said that you humans are trash. Without your sword, you're a piece of trash among trash. The level of the Saraira prayer beads was too high. Even though Beishue Gu Fei tried his best and even used the strongest attack of the Sword Saint Sword Art, he was still unable to pull the 7-star sword out of the ground. Both sides were in a stalemate for a few seconds. Suddenly, the Beast Buddha's lips curled up and his eyes were filled with killing intent. 7 seconds is up. Your death is here. Gu Fei suddenly felt an irresistible force. Immediately after, he was forcefully pulled in front of the Beast Buddha. All Buddhas are chanting scriptures. Of course, you have to listen. 42 life-exterminating palms, Vajra mountain-splitting seal. Dozens of golden lights that could not be captured landed on Beishue Gu Fei, who was forcefully pulled close to him. Beishue Gu Fei's HP dropped rapidly. Every time he was hit by a Buddhist seal, his body would collapse and he would spit out a mouthful of blood. This guy added physical attacks to his attacks. The competition's requirement is that it doesn't kill the opponent. Sometimes, if you are at a disadvantage, you can bet everything on one throw. Attacking the opponent's physical body and disabling their skills can also turn the tables. But the Beast Buddha clearly has the advantage, but he intentionally added physical attacks, 42 chapters in total. Even if that human doesn't die, he will be half dead. 42 palms hit. Gu Fei's HP bar was only left with black HP. His entire body was like a pile of mud as he fell to the ground, dying. The Beast Buddha looked down at Gu Fei, who was on the ground. Trash. Do you see the difference between you and me? After saying that, he clawed with his bare hand and the 7-star sword was sucked into his palm. I left you with a sliver of HP to let you see despair. Shariputra, break the weapon. Bang bang bang. After a few crisp sounds, Gu Fei watched as the 7-star sword was shattered. His bloodshot eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Ever since he was young, he had been using the 7-star sword to practice swordsmanship. His sword never left his body for more than 20 years. The first time he could ride a sword, he rode the 7-star sword. The first time he used sword intent, he also used the 7-star sword. The first time he killed a monster, the first time he faced an enemy. The 7-star sword was no longer just his weapon. It was more like the love of Beishue Gu Fei, who lived in seclusion and pursued the path of swordsmanship. However, not only did the Beast Buddha heavily injure himself, he also deliberately left a sliver of HP to let him witness the scene of the 7-star butterfly sword shattering. Beishue Gufei violently vomited a mouthful of blood. This was not only caused by his heavy injuries, but also because of the heart-wrenching pain. Beast Buddha, that's enough. Come down. A half-beastman below the stage said indifferently. Where are the people from Immortal Pinnacle Sect? Hurry up and drag your people down. Don't really die here. Southern Sky flashed over and glared at that person. Why were you so heavy-handed? That half-beastman frowned slightly. Apologies, Southern Sky sect leader. We half-beastmen have always viewed every battle as a battle of life and death. What's more, the joint competition was originally to select the heaven officers of the Immortal Army. If we don't let these children experience the cruelty of the battlefield, I'm afraid it won't be good for them in the future. But it's still a competition between our allies. I won't say anything if you heavily injure my Immortal Pinnacle Sect disciple, but why did you have to shatter the sword? Shatter the sword? The person has already lost. What's the use of the sword? That person laughed. Southern Sky Sect leader, although you're the host, we didn't violate the rules of the competition. I understand that you're eager to protect your children, but swords have no eyes. This is unavoidable. Sigh, as expected of a new sect with a few newcomers. They don't have the slightest bit of demeanor of a large sect. Southern Sky simply couldn't bear it any longer. However, he turned around and glanced at Beishue Gufei. His injuries were too heavy. He had to be treated quickly. Below the stage, the nature fairies were discussing the competition just now. Right at this moment, the nature fairy girl sitting beside Lu Chen secretly looked at the human beside her. In the end, she got a fright. That guy's eyes are currently emitting a faint green mist. What's wrong with this guy? Chapter 587. At the human race's spectator stand, a commotion broke out. You actually dare to insult the great heavenly general. This daddy here can't take it anymore. That beast Buddha, you are too much. Our Immortal Pole sect treated you as a guest, and yet you acted so viciously. You are simply beasts. You even used physical attacks and almost killed him. You even destroyed Gufei's immortal artifact. You are too much. Everyone, let's go and kill that beast. Beast Buddha looked at these people with disdain, a bunch of trash who only know how to hoot. If you have the ability, then come down. Do you believe that this daddy here will beat you to death? On the other side, Lu Chen narrowed his eyes and was about to stand up. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the stage. Great Heavenly General of the Alliance, foresees expedition. Everyone quiet down. He said to the human race's spectator stand. This year's competition is organized by my human race. Since Immortal Pole Sect is a new sect, I placed it in Immortal Pole Sect. My goal is to let Immortal Pole Sect's name resound in the Alliance. If you guys go up on stage now, are you trying to let others remember this competition as a joke? 4C's expedition bellowed. Everyone was stunned. After berating the human race, 4C's expedition turned and walked in front of Beast Buddha with a smile. Congratulations. Beast Buddha said in disdain, Tisuke, I thought you were going to come down and fight with me. So you are here to show weakness. Humans are indeed cowards. Beast Buddha's sect elder hurried up the stage and pulled Beast Buddha back. He said in a low voice, no matter what, he is still a great heavenly general. Let's go and rest first. The Beast Buddha finally left the venue. 4C's expedition also turned around and returned to the rostrum. The competition in the arena continued. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Isn't this expedition of the 4C's a little too weak? Could it really be like what the Beast Buddha said, that it has an undeserved reputation? On the rostrum, Nantian stood behind 4C's expedition. He looked at the person in front of him who was still carefully watching the competition. He wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he could not help but step forward. Great Heavenly General, you are angry, right? Without waiting for Nantian to finish, the Great Heavenly General said what he was thinking. That Beast Buddha is too much of a bully, spouting nonsense. How can we tolerate this? Doesn't that mean that the others are watching the human race as a joke? Also, why did you congratulate him? This is showing weakness. The great heavenly general let out a long sigh and turned to look at southern sky. You care about the dignity of the human race, but I only care about one thing: the survival of the human race. Although Beast Buddha went overboard, he didn't break the rules of the competition, right? If we take advantage of our home ground to attack them, the Alliance will think that we humans are untrustworthy and impulsive, which will be fatal to the entire human race. Great Heavenly General? At this moment, Nantian realized that the Great Heavenly General was not showing weakness. He was looking further ahead. Nantian, I've heard of your ambitions. That everyone is a dragon and tiger, why should we fear external enemies is extremely well said. The Great Heaven General said, I can't make the decision on the Alliance's united front alone. I can only arrange some capable newcomers for you. Nantian's eyes widened. So Gu Fei and the other experts were arranged by Datian. Those who achieve great things don't only know how to shout slogans. They have to put it into action and have the means to succeed. The Great Heavenly General smiled. I feel that Beast Buddha's provocation this time is a good thing to provoke public anger. It will let these young people understand that the human race is weak and not be arrogant just because they have a little strength. Beast Buddha is right about one thing. I really need someone to replace me in this position. In an instant, Nantian suddenly felt that he was not on the same level as the Great Heavenly General. It wasn't the difference in strength, but the difference in vision. It was also at this moment that Nantian no longer doubted the Great Heavenly General's ability. He was definitely worthy of being one of the 4 Great Heavenly Generals. Great Heavenly General, I understand now. I was short-sighted before. It's not your fault. Who hasn't been young and impetuous? I envy you guys for being able to settle grudges as you please, unlike me who always thinks about this and that. As the Great Heavenly General, you naturally have to consider the big picture. Go, take a look at Gu Fei's situation. This crushing defeat should be a huge blow to him. The Alliance tournament continued. Today, the top 16 were decided, and the next day, the top 8 were decided. Coincidentally, on this day, the human race's only seedling, Miao Qingfeng, met the primitive Beast Buddha again. In this battle, Miao Qingfeng, who was also a human, carried the hope of revenge for the human race. If he couldn't settle his grudges off the stage and defeat the Beast Buddha on the stage, then others would have nothing to say. Miao Qingfeng was very strong and was the strongest human in the same batch. He also had extremely powerful means and was a rare dual cultivator of combat and magic. As everyone knew, dual cultivators of the same profession had no problem. However, Miao Qingfeng was a dual cultivator of martial arts and a prophet. Since he was involved in 2 major professions, he must have had a fortuitous encounter. Miao Qingfeng's close combat strength was not weak, so he was not afraid of close combat. The 7 seconds of all ears effect of the Buddha's chanting was not much of a threat to him. However, the demonic mind was really annoying. The 12% failure rate of the cultivation technique was not limited to this 12% chance. In every set of cultivation technique, the effects of each layer were different. They were often connected, such as controlling, heavily injuring, or stacking the opponent's negative statuses. The final killing move was to subdue the enemy. If there was a problem in any of the links, it was very likely to cause the entire set of moves to be nullified. And in such a high-intensity battle, if one's skills could not be connected, it would be giving the opponent an opportunity. In view of this, Miao Qingfeng was very cautious in the battle, which led to his damage not being fully displayed. On the other hand, the Beast Buddha's attacks were swift and fierce, and he cooperated with all ears to deal continuous damage. After fighting fiercely with the Beast Buddha for 20 minutes, Miao Qingfeng's 5 mountains collapse. Melee control failed at a critical moment. The Beast Buddha seized the opportunity and used the Relic Buddha's reincarnation to reflect the skill. In the end, Miao Qingfeng was defeated with 42 life-ending palms. The Beast Buddha grabbed the air and sucked Miao Qingfeng's immortal spear into his palm. Relic Buddha's weapon shatter. Shatter for me. With a bang, Miao Qingfeng's immortal weapon shattered. Miao Qingfeng was so angry that he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood and fainted. The beast Buddha raised his head and laughed wildly. "Ah, I already said that you humans are all trash. The strongest? Sorry, in front of me, killing you is like killing a dog." All the humans glared at the beast Buddha. "Damn it, it's too bad that I'm not strong enough. Otherwise, I would kill him with my own hands. He's gone too far. Is there no one in the human race who can fight him? I'm so pissed off." 3 days later, the champion was decided. What made the humans collapse was that the champion was none other than the primitive Buddha. He insulted the great heavenly general, severely injured 2 human masters, and shattered their immortal weapons. He even wanted the great heavenly general to personally award him an award. In the future, when he joined the immortal army, he would be promoted directly from heavenly lieutenant. How can such a beast receive such treatment? It's simply unreasonable. Damn it, thinking of this, I'm about to have a heart attack. However, a joint competition was a joint competition, and the award ceremony was extremely grand. On a temporarily built high platform, the great heavenly general of the human race, for C's expedition, personally awarded the first-place primitive Buddha the award. Chapter 588. Congratulations on becoming the champion of this year's competition. 4C's expedition smiles as he stands in front of primitive beast Buddha and hands over the trophy. This is the prize for this year's first place. A set of immortal tool purple star sword, 3 immortal spirit pills, 10 immortal body pills, 10 immortal martial pills, and the letter of appointment. Primitive beast Buddha receives the prize with one hand and looks down at 4C's expedition from above. I'll accept it, but I still feel like I'm missing something. Primitive beast Buddha says frivolously. There's another uproar below the stage. He's still not satisfied after receiving so many prizes? What else does he want? 4C's expedition smiles. Oh? What do you think is missing? Primitive beast Buddha grins. I want to test if you're worthy of being one of the 4 great generals. The moment these words come out, the entire city is in an uproar. What he wants to challenge the great general. This is too arrogant. Speaking of which, the strength of the human race's great general has always been questioned. If 4C's expedition is willing to accept, we can see if the rumors are true. However, a person who hasn't even officially joined the immortal army actually wants to challenge the great general. Isn't he looking down on the human race a little too much? Taking advantage of the uproar below the stage, primitive beast Buddha raises his voice and says to everyone below the stage, as everyone knows, the 4 great generals are those who are capable. Although I haven't joined the immortal army, I've already received the letter of appointment and can join the immortal army anytime. Since that's the case, I'm qualified to challenge the great general. I just can't stand the fact that the human race is clearly a bunch of trash, but there's still someone occupying one of the 4 great generals. 4C's expedition, I injured your clansmen and broke your clansmen's weapons. You, the so-called strongest of the human race, only know how to congratulate me. TSK, I really can't imagine how a coward like you can go on the battlefield and lead the immortal army to slaughter everyone. The human race's formation is completely enraged this time. Bastard, we've been patient in every possible way, but in the end, this bastard wants a yard after taking an inch. What right do you have to challenge our great general? So what if you're the heaven lieutenant? There's still the middle heaven lieutenant and great heaven lieutenant above you. Who do you think you are? Great general, don't accept him. Take back his letter of appointment. If this kind of person goes to the immortal army, he will definitely bully others. If he becomes a great celestial general, he will still be forced to death. The primitive Buddha beast snorted coldly. Shut up, you bunch of trash. Saying that I'm not qualified. If you have the ability, come up here. If one comes, I'll kill one. If 2 come, I'll kill a pair. What joint competition? I don't care about it at all. To this day, no one has been able to force me to use more than 10 of my Saraira beads. With my strength, it's only a matter of time before I become one of the 4 heavenly generals. A mere ant dares to be so arrogant. 4C's expedition, do you dare to accept my challenge? If you don't dare, Then step down from your position as the great heavenly general. From now on, when you see me, the primitive Buddha beast, you must kneel down and pay your respects to me." Some of the immortal soldiers couldn't stand it anymore. "Do you know what Heavenly Marshal Yuan Zheng has done for the Alliance? Do you know how many battles he has won? Of the 4 heavenly generals, all of them have to bow and greet Lord Yuan Zheng when they see him. Do you know that? Simply arrogant to the extreme. Let me teach you a lesson." 4C's expedition waves his hand. However, the usually disciplined immortal soldiers are actually unable to control themselves. Cough, 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 cough. 4C's expedition might have been too anxious and actually starts coughing violently. "Great Heavenly General." A young heavenly general rushes to the stage and hurriedly supports 4C's expedition. "Your injuries, all immortal soldiers, shut up. Whoever dares to anger the great heavenly general will be punished by military law." In the distance, Lu Chen also sees it with his own eyes. He saw with his own eyes that 4C's expedition's hand is covered in blood. It's just that he secretly keeps his right hand away so that others can't see it clearly. Lu Chen narrows his eyes slightly. "No wonder. I was wondering why this primitive Buddha kept making things difficult for 4C's expedition." So he already knew that 4C's expedition was injured. The other great heavenly generals are all at the front lines. With the intense battle situation at the front lines, 4C's expedition should not have the time to come back to host this joint competition. It's precisely because he's injured that he came back. He can be considered to be helping to select talents while recuperating. And that primitive Buddha found out about this from somewhere and purposely caused trouble here. He even directly challenged 4C's expedition. He's really ambitious. He only used 10 of the 100 Saraira prayer beads. This guy has been conserving his strength all this time so that he can challenge 4C's expedition. I actually didn't see through this plan from the start. 4C's expedition is indeed a great heavenly general. He probably sensed it long ago and avoided conflict several times. Great heavenly general 4C's expedition, there are only a few people who I admire. You are one of them. After figuring out the reason behind this, 4C's expedition has been forced to the point of no return. Sigh. Looks like I have to move around a bit. With that, Lu Chen stood up. "Hey, the spectator in front, why did you stand up? You're blocking me." A water bottle smashed over from behind. Luckily, Lu Chen dodged quickly. Lu Chen's face darkens. "Big sister, I have something important to do." "Something important? Is it more important than me watching the competition? Right now is the crucial moment. Don't tell me you still want to go on stage?" The elf girl by the side also looks at Lu Chen. "You better sit down. Even if primitive Buddha insulted your human race, his strength is there for all to see. This is how the strong are respected. A small character like you, no one will take you seriously." Lu Chen lowers his head and smiles. "What strength?" "A strength that you will never be able to reach in your lifetime. He instantly killed your human race's genius with only 6 Saraira prayer beads. He defeated the strongest person in your human race." The girl says with disdain. "Oh, you're talking about this strength. Then it's a pity. It's not enough to enter my eyes. I really can't stand you anymore." Before the girl can finish her words, she looks at Lu Chen and realizes that he is no longer in his seat. At the edge of the stage, a person wearing the gray outer disciple robe of the extreme immortal sect is walking towards the stage step by step. The surroundings are incomparably noisy. However, a voice that isn't too loud suppresses everyone's voice. "You want to challenge 4C's expedition? You're not qualified." When everyone looks towards the direction of the voice and sees the person walking onto the stage, many people cover their mouths in shock. "No, impossible. Is it him? Is it him? Oh my God, are my eyes playing tricks on me? This is definitely impossible. Cough, cough, cough. Quick, quick, help me up. Let me see clearly." Gu Fei says to Yenran, Dongfangji, and Moran, his voice filled with urgency. "It's him, it's really him. Is he back?" On the main stage, Nantian, Ling Xiao, and the elders of the extreme immortal sect all widen their eyes in shock. "Am I hallucinating? He's still alive? Nanshan's voice trembles and his eyes are red. Ling Xiao, you said he's already dead. Elder Ling Xiao is more shocked than anyone else. Sectmaster, I'm sure I saw him being taken away by the void beast. I'm absolutely sure. It's just that. I don't know, this is impossible. However, even more people don't recognize this person. They all ask each other questions. Hey, who's that guy? Look, so many people from the Extreme Immortal sect are so excited. What's that? That's the outer disciple robe of the Extreme Immortal sect, right? How can an outer disciple have the face to go up on stage? He's probably courting death, right? Sigh, some people just let their emotions affect their decisions. At this moment, that person jumped onto the stage and stood in the middle of the stage, looking at the stage. Hey, that gorilla, I heard you're very strong. Chapter 589. The primitive Buddha beast glared at the person on the stage. Kid, who are you talking to? You really don't know if you look like a gorilla? Gui Yanran couldn't hold it in and almost burst out laughing. This guy's words are really infuriating. But he really didn't die. He died? Sigh, that guy is really tough, Dongfangji said. I wonder how strong he is now. Beishue Gufei stared at Lu Qin. Surpassing that person was his motivation for the past 1.5 years. Will he be in danger? Gui Yanran asked. That Buddha beast is too strong. Although he is arrogant, he has indeed hidden his strength. Even Miao Qingshan couldn't find out his true strength. In the elf spectator area, the young elf girl's eyes almost popped out. That guy who had been chattering beside her really went on stage. And he directly challenged the champion. This guy, he doesn't want to live anymore. The primitive Buddha beast jumped down from the 20-meter-high stage and landed on the stage with a loud bang. Kid, I think you are tired of living. Lu Qin looked at him indifferently. Alright, you want to die? The alliance tournament is over. Since you challenged me, you are no longer restricted by the rules of the alliance tournament. The Buddha beast glared at Lu Qin fiercely. As he spoke, his eyes were filled with killing intent and he said word by word, I will beat you to death in front of so many people. Aya, really? Then, is it too late for me to step down now? Ha, you step down? What are you thinking? What happened to your arrogance just now? My stage is not something you can go up and down as you wish. Lu Qin shook his head. If that's the case, then fine, I can only play with you. Wait. A voice sounded. Then, 4C's expedition flashed in front of Lu Qin. He looked at Lu Qin. His outfit seemed to indicate Lu Qin's strength. Outer sect disciple of Celestial Pole. Young man, you should leave. If he wants to fight with me, I'll accept. You don't have to risk your life. Lu Qin stopped fooling around when it came to the 4C's expedition. He shook his head and said seriously, since he came prepared, he must have done some research on you. You're seriously injured. Even if you win, you'll only add to your injuries. The loss outweighs the gain. When one's body is heavily injured, the greatest taboo is to start a fight before one's injuries have healed. This is something that I have a deep understanding of. Lu Qin, of course, had experienced it deeply. In the 3rd layer of heaven, he had been in a heavily injured state for more than a month. He did not want to experience that feeling again. Moreover, with his identity as the 4C's expedition, he must have accumulated a lot of resources. If he couldn't recover in such a short period of time, his injuries must be very serious. Young man, thank you for your kindness, but at most, I will have to rest for a while. As for you, you may not even have the chance to recuperate. Lu Qin smiled. Big Boss Expedition, the human race's immortal army needs you. The longer you're not in the army, the more danger it will be in. The 4C's expedition looked at this young man in surprise. Disregarding the difference in status, this young man's insight was different from ordinary people. Besides, I'm not doing this for you. A few of my friends were bitten by this mad dog. I have to settle this debt with him. At this moment, the 4C's expedition could see that this young man was full of confidence. He frowned slightly. Young man, are you confident? He hasn't used his full strength yet. Lu Chen smiled. Great heaven, General, just watch the fight. The Four Seas expedition was finally convinced by Lu Chen and returned to the rostrum. He turned back and asked Nanton, Nen, is this person a disciple of your immortal apex sect? How strong is he? Great heaven, General, he is indeed a disciple of my immortal apex sect. However, I don't dare to call him a disciple. Oh? But no one in the immortal apex sect dares to be his master. Back then, I wanted to give up the position of sect leader to him. However, he only wanted to be a carefree outer disciple. Oh? There's such a thing? Wait, could he be the one who defeated 60 top disciples from the 12 great sects? It's Brother Du Kuang. So it's him. I've long heard that this young man is arrogant. Now, it seems like it's true. Even that beast Buddha isn't as arrogant as him. The Four Seas expedition looked at Lu Chen again, his eyes shining brightly. Oh right, Nantion. In this 1.5 years, has his strength improved? Great heaven, General, I don't even know when that young man came back. However, in terms of strength, there is one thing that can be used as a reference. What is it? He came back from the whirlpool. What? The Great Heaven General and his assistants all looked at Nantion, their eyes filled with shock. Came back from the whirlpool? In the history of the human race, no one who could do this didn't become a king or a minister, becoming an overlord of a region. How long did it take him? Counting it, he left the immortal apex sect to do a mission. It has been 1.5 years. 1.5 years? I have never heard of anyone coming out from the whirlpool in just 1.5 years. This fellow. Good, let me see how strong he is. Ping Yun, if there is an accident later, you must protect that young man. Yes, Great Heaven, General. On the stage, Lu Chen said indifferently, Hey, do you dare to have a bet with me? Bet? Interesting. What are your conditions? I will bet one of your prizes, purple star flowing light sword. Sure. However, if you want to bet immortal martial arts, you must take out a sufficient amount of immortal martial arts. Lu Chen smiled and casually took out a sword. I only have this sword. I will bet with it. The moment the limitless demon god sword appeared, the entire crowd went into an uproar. Why is my weapon resonating with that sword? What weapon is that? My lightning-chasing bow actually trembled and left my hand. Could it be that it has an artifact spirit? This is a divine artifact? Experts, the moment they saw Lu Chen's black and white dual swords, they naturally know that it is not an ordinary item. Good, I will bet with this sword. I did not expect that my luck this time would be so good to be able to obtain such a top-grade weapon. But you do not need to feel regret. After all, you are a person who is about to die. Such a good weapon, of course it is best to entrust it to the most suitable person. Lu Chen smiled. You should have seen the quality of my weapon, right? So that purple star flowing light sword is still a little lacking for my bet. I want to add another condition. What? I want you to use your Saraira Buddhist bead's strongest move when you fight me. To be honest, I'm quite curious about how powerful your strongest attack is. Beast Buddha frowned. His purpose for this trip was to conquer the Four Seas. It is just that strange black and white dual swords are too attractive. If you do not agree, then I will change to another immortal artifact. Big Brother Yuan Zheng, do you have any similar immortal artifacts? I do not have any capital for this bet. Can you lend me one? Yuan Zheng smiled. This fellow looks sloppy, but his actual intention is not simple. Testing out Beast Buddha's strongest move is also paving the way for him. In any case, Ping Yun will be watching that brat. So be it. You can choose any of the immortal weapons on my follower. Beast Buddha is now a little uncertain. Is that brat really going to take back that sword? That sword is definitely the Emperor of Swords. Once I miss this chance, I am afraid I will not have another chance in the future. Anyway, after I kill this brat, I will quickly challenge the Four Seas. Even if he sees my strongest move, the Four Seas will not be able to think of a way to deal with it in a short period of time. Do you want to die so badly? Fine, I will fulfill your wish. Seeing Beast Buddha agree to the bet, Lu Chen smiled. Both sides locked their weapons in the Vim agreement. The battle begins. All Buddhas chant barrier. Lu Chen is immediately affected by the barrier, but he does not move. Brat, you are not going to take out your weapon? Do you have a better weapon than that sword? No, I only have one weapon. I have already used all of my cards. The group of people almost vomits blood. Even the 4 Cs almost collapses. Just now he was so generous that they thought he had another powerful weapon on him. Who knew that this brat would bet everything? This is a little unexpected. The 4 Cs took a deep breath. Chapter 590. Haha, what a lunatic. Beast Buddha laughed maniacally. Actually, I don't need a weapon to fight a small fry like you. Lu Chen smiled. Suddenly, the smile on Beast Buddha's face froze. Good. I thought I was crazy enough. I didn't expect you to be even crazier than me. If you want to die under my strongest move, I'll fulfill your wish now. I'll make sure you die without a complete corpse. Relic Buddha bead. Beast Buddha floated in the air. The Buddha's light behind him shone brightly, illuminating heaven and earth. An illusory image of a Buddha appeared on Beast Buddha's body. It was dozens of meters tall and sat in the air with a halo behind it. Oh my God, it's a star Buddha body. This skill is so powerful. That Beast Buddha is already like a giant Buddha. Is this the strongest skill of the Relic Buddha bead? Just the start of the attack has already caused a phenomenon. So Beast Buddha didn't even use 1/10 of his combat power. Beishue Gufei looked at Beast Buddha nervously. That guy is actually so strong. He might really be able to fight against the 4 Cs expedition generals. Coupled with the faint chanting sound in the enchantment, Beast Buddha was like a Buddha descending to the world. At the same time, Lu Chen finally made his move. He snorted. Buddha? 6 transformations of gods and demons, 6 transformations of demons. In an instant, Lu Chen transformed into an evil child and was surrounded by black gas. He flew into the air and the rolling black gas collided with the golden light. His momentum was not weak at all. Zhenghua Yanran was stunned. She had not seen Lu Chen in action for a long time. Although she had heard of Lu Chen's evil child form, she was still shocked. The elf girl was so shocked that her mouth was wide open. Everyone had some strength. Seeing the black gas produced by the evil child was so fierce, she naturally knew that the human kid was not weak. The devil gas is rolling. Is this guy a human or a devil? This is the battle between the devil and Buddha. At this moment, Beast Buddha had finished accumulating power and attacked Lu Chen with a palm. 1000 Buddha bead. At the same time, the effect of listen with reverence was activated, and Lu Chen was forcibly pulled in front of the Beast Buddha. This palm, there was no way to avoid it. Fortunately, Lu Chen had no intention of dodging at all. Put him to death. Dragon blood boiling. Shatter the void. Break for me. In midair, a black gas shot towards the center of the Buddha's light. 2 major skills, 1 black and 1 gold, 1 fist and 1 palm, 1 devil and 1 Buddha, collided violently in the sky. With a loud bang, heaven and earth shook. The clouds in the sky rolled, and the rumbling sound was like the sky was collapsing. A terrifying blast of air exploded outwards in a ring-shaped explosion, instantly engulfing the entire area. Under the raging wind, the high platform that was built was the first to bear the brunt. It was blown to smithereens with a destructive force. The rostrum, the auditorium, and the buildings collapsed. In the inner mountains of the extreme immortal sect, the surrounding trees were uprooted and rocks were sent flying. The crowd burst into an uproar. Golden Shield. The immortal army will assist the disciples of the immortal apex sect in maintaining order. What a powerful aftershock. What level of cultivation technique is this? I can't see the damage clearly. Motherfucker, are they trying to create a hole in the sky? After a long time, the gale gradually stopped, the strong light dispersed, and the dark clouds dispersed. The people couldn't wait to look at the sky. At this moment, the special effects around the 2 people in the sky had all dissipated. Seeing the situation of the 2 people, countless people covered their mouths in horror. There was nothing abnormal with the evil child, But the Beast Buddha, at this moment, most of the Beast Buddha's body had disappeared. The missing part was shaped like a crescent moon. Even someone as experienced and knowledgeable as the Four Seas expedition couldn't help but take half a step back. This method, isn't it too cruel? With one punch, most of the Beast Buddha's body was blown away. The elf girl was already so scared that her face was ashen. Of course, people like you don't know what it feels like to be killed instantly. You're not on the same level as the Beast Buddha, but at this moment her heart trembled. That guy instantly killed the Beast Buddha in his strongest state with just one punch. More than half of the Beast Buddha's body was gone. The health bar was no longer important. It was almost certain that this kind of physical damage could directly take the life of the Beast Buddha in the real world. The entire audience was shocked into silence. Everyone had complicated emotions in their hearts. Shock, disbelief, and an extremely strong sense of fear. That guy was really as cruel as a demon. In front of him, the Beast Buddha's things were simply child's play. The evil child opened his mouth and licked his lips. He grabbed with one hand and caught a string of Buddha beads. Saraira Buddha beads. The gambling match was undoubtedly over. The Limitless Sword and the Purple Star Meteor Sword returned to Lu Chen's hands. Lu Chen took out the Limitless Sword. "Hey, I know that you feel wronged when I pushed you out. Here, I'll give you this as compensation." The Limitless Sword immediately disregarded the previous grudges and formed a black and white whirlpool at the tip of the sword. Lu Chen directly threw the Saraira Buddha beads into it. Devour the Saraira Buddha beads. Looking at the broken corpse in front of him, Lu Chen snorted coldly. If this person had only seriously injured Gufei and the others, Lu Chen would probably only give him a taste of his own medicine. But since he had the idea of the Four Seas expedition, it was obvious that this guy had ulterior motives. If he didn't kill him, there would be endless trouble. Returning to the arena, Lu Chen turned invisible and returned to his human form. Looking at Beishue Gufei from afar, Lu Chen threw the Purple Star Meteor Sword over. "Hey, Gufei, senior brother will give this sword to you." Senior brother? This guy actually called himself Senior Brother just because he came to the Ultimate Immortal sect more than a year earlier. One had to know that Gufei's identity was at least an inner disciple. As an outer disciple, he was quite thick-skinned. However, no one dared to question him. Gufei looked at Lu Chen from afar. He was both angry and amused. This guy. "Thank you, Senior Brother." Lu Chen nodded in satisfaction. Standing on the arena, Lu Chen's gaze swept across the audience. Looking at the shocked faces, Lu Chen sighed. It wasn't easy for others to choose a champion, but he had instantly defeated him. Wasn't that a little bad? It felt like he had ruined someone else's good fortune. Aren't there still 2 or 3 awards? Why don't you guys continue? Inadvertently, Lu Chen's gaze landed on the podium. Right now, the podium was already hanging on some random tree. "Forget it. Let's go. Sorry to disturb you, goodbye." With that, Lu Chen hurriedly slipped away. Lu Chen left, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded spectators. Half a minute later, over 100,000 spectators almost blew up the Immortal Sect mountain. "Oh my God, I can't believe my eyes. Are you kidding me?" He instantly defeated Beast Buddha. Instantly defeated him with one punch. That's too ruthless. Is that guy even human? Why is he wearing the outer disciple uniform of the Ultimate Immortal Sect? "Hey, Senior Brother of the Ultimate Immortal Sect, may I ask, who exactly is that guy?" He also happened to ask someone in the know. That person had an unfathomable expression. He looked into the distance and spoke in a profound tone. "Sir, good question. Who is he? Where did he come from?" No one knows. You just need to remember one thing. That person is our Ultimate Immortal Sect. No, our human race's #1 outer disciple of all time. #1 outer disciple of all time. Then what is his name? Please remember this ID, because he will definitely become the most dazzling name in the future. That person was still immersed in his own world. His tone was ethereal. He has a golden ID. It's called lone. Arrogant. Chapter 591. Lu Chen hadn't gone far when an unfamiliar man chased after him. His ID was Celestial Army Ping Yun. "Hey, solipsistic, please wait. Our great celestial general wants to see you." Lu Chen stopped in his tracks. "The reaction over there is probably too big. I don't want to go back." Ping Yun looked at Lu Chen and thought to himself, "You should know that the situation over there is too big. It's about to explode. The Celestial Army and Celestial Peak sect are busy trying to maintain order. This guy is running away as soon as he's done. They're wrapping things up over there and need the great Celestial General to be there. How about this? When things are done over there, can I trouble you to come to the Celestial Peak sect's meeting room?" "Oh sure. I want to see my friend too." In the Celestial Peak sect's meeting room, there were only 4 Seas Expedition: Ping Yun, Southern Sky, Elder Ling Xiao, Gufei, Dongfang Ji, Moran, Zhengui Yanran, and the late Lu Chen. As soon as Lu Chen walked in leisurely, he was stopped by a figure. "Hey, how did you become so strong?" Zhengui Yanran said angrily. She had used 1.5 years to go from Stage 2 to Stage 3. After becoming a top-tier player, she had teamed up with Gufei and the others to enter Stage 4. After cultivating so hard, she had finally caught up to Lu Chen. However, when she saw Lu Chen's terrifying punch the moment she arrived, her confidence took another hit. With her strong personality, she was definitely not convinced. Lu Chen, on the other hand, became humble. "Am I strong? No, I'm still far from that." Zhengui Yanran looked at Lu Chen in surprise. "Why did your personality change?" Gufei walked up and said, "For Lone Tyrant to have such strength, he must have experienced more than us. Naturally, his vision is different from ours." Lu Chen smiled. "How are your injuries?" "I won't die yet, but I'll need some time to recover." Dongfang Ji also walked over. "Hey, I thought you were dead." Yanran even cried for a few days. Gui Yanran instantly exploded. "Hey, what are you talking about?" "Dongfang Ji, if you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll tell your sister and ask her to teach you a lesson." Lu Chen's face darkened. "These guys," Mo Ran walked over and smiled at Lu Chen. "It's great that you're back. That's right, let's not just talk about old times. It's a bit rude. Let's go see the elders first." Lu Chen nodded and walked in front of 4 Seas Expedition and the others. He cupped his fists and said, "Greetings, Great Heaven General, Zhong Heaven General, Sect Leader, and Elder Ling." Nantian hurried over and slapped Lu Chen on the shoulder. "You stinking brat, why didn't you come and find me as soon as you came back? I saw that you guys were busy. What could be more important than your return?" Elder Ling Xiao smiled and said, "That's right. The sect master has been blaming himself for the past year. He kept saying that he shouldn't have let you go on the exploration." Lu Chen smiled. "This is my own decision. Old brother Nantian, why do you have to blame yourself?" 4 Seas Expedition laughed. "Ha, you little brat. I couldn't tell." Lu Chen looked at 4 Seas Expedition curiously. "I didn't expect you to have so many friends despite your sloppy appearance. All of them are trustworthy companions." "Solipsistic. TSK, this name suits you very well. I've never seen anyone more arrogant than you." Lu Chen sighed. "Sigh, no one would believe me if I said this. I'm actually very low-key." "I believe you," 4 Seas Expedition suddenly said. "Or rather, your arrogance isn't frivolous arrogance. Some people like to show off their strength in front of people weaker than them. It's a form of pride, but you don't care about that. I heard you say that you don't think you're strong. In other people's ears, this is a form of arrogance. But if I'm not wrong, you must have met a stronger opponent in the whirlpool. So you really don't think you're strong enough. You could have easily won the championship in a competition like the Alliance competition. But you didn't participate. If not for the appearance of someone like Beast Buddha, you probably wouldn't even show your face. Because this kind of competition has no real meaning for you to become stronger. It's purely for showing off. I heard from Nantian that you're willing to be an outer sect disciple because you only want to cultivate in peace. Tell me, am I right?" Lu Chen was almost moved to tears. He was like a person who was never understood by others and suddenly found a soulmate. Big Brother was indeed a big brother. What he said was too true. Big Heaven General is right. Ha, kid, it's been a long time since I met a young man like you. Ping Yun looked at Lu Chen with admiration. Big Heaven General, such a talent should be recruited into our immortal army and nurtured well. 4C's expedition shook his head. No, Ping Yun, this jade is pure and natural. There's no need to carve it. Solipsistic, the immortal army's rules are strict. It's too restrictive for you. I believe that even if you don't join the immortal army, you'll still become stronger. Of course, if one day you get tired of playing outside and want to make a name for yourself, you can come find me at any time. I can wait until the day you come. When these words came out, Nan Tian and Ping Yun were shocked. 4C's expedition's meaning, other than thinking highly of Solipsistic and giving Lu Chen sufficient freedom, seemed to have another hidden meaning. 4C's expedition had been the Big Heaven General for more than 20 years. The other races had already changed a few batches of Big Heaven Generals. Only the human race had always been the 4C's expedition. After so many years, the 4C's expedition was also tired. He had long wanted to find a suitable person. Lu Chen was also not a fool. He frowned slightly. Big Heaven General, I don't think I'll stop at the 4th Heaven Domain. 4C's expedition was not too surprised. He smiled and nodded. I know. Of course you won't stop at the 4th Heaven. But I also believe that you won't leave the Human Race Alliance in danger. Just like this alliance competition. I'm not waiting for you to take over my position. I'm waiting for the day you make a move. Lu Chen took a deep breath. He had only spoken with 4C's expedition twice, but he was already very respectful towards this old man. It was not because he was a Big Heaven General, but because of his responsibility, foresight, and charisma. All right, Beast Buddha provoked me while I was injured. I believe there's more to this matter. I need to go and deal with it. 4C's expedition stood up and said, Nanan, Elder Ling, and my fellow little friends, I will also be leaving the extreme immortal sect. Big Heaven General, why don't you rest here for a few days before leaving? Nan Tian asked. No need. I'm afraid I can't recover from my injuries. But it's fine. I rarely take action myself now. It's fine with Ping Yun by my side. My friends, you all have great potential. I like your personalities. This is my Heaven General token. If you come to the Immortal Army in the future, you can bring this token to find me. Ping Yun stepped forward and gave Lu Chen and the other 4 a wooden token. The wooden token was small and exquisite. On it were the words Heaven General. On the bottom right corner was a seal. It should be 4C's expedition. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.